Bookie Beatdown coming at you. Paul and Cody breaking down UFC Winnipeg. Have you ever been to Winnipeg, Cody?
No. I've been told to stay away at all costs.
It's rough. It can be rough. I stayed at a hotel one time. I mean, I used to do tree planting up in Manitoba, like northern Manitoba, but like Winnipeg would be like meet up in Winnipeg and then we'll take the buses like 4 or 5 hours north to start tree planting. And it was the only place on earth I've ever been asked for a spare shank. I was outside of my hotel firing up a dart, as I like to do. And some really drunk, probably on drugs dude was like kind of twitching all around. And you're kind of like, is this guy going to stab me? And he comes up, he's like, hey, you got an extra shank? And I'm like, I don't have a shank, let alone a spare one to give to you so that you can rob me.
Yeah, that just puts us on even playing field.
I wouldn't walk around in certain neighborhoods after dark. Like the big cities get all of the recognition for homicides and stuff, but it's like the homicide rate in in Winnipeg is probably up there with the roughest cities in Canada, I would guess.
Well, I'll tell you my
little stats in front of me, but I bet you it's up there per capita.
Yeah, the story that stays with me is Dennis Pirich, former MMA fighter, current. Well, he just got released from one championship, but fought Jourdain for the title. Like Dennis Pirich, man. So he's from Bosnia, right? And then when he's a kid, war breaks out. Terrible. He had to live in like not a concentration camp, but like a bunch of them had left their little village, and they're hiding in the cornfields. And him and a bunch of kids were playing soccer, and one of the kids stepped on a landmine, blew him to bits. Like, so he had seen some crazy stuff in Bosnia. His dad applies for U.S. citizenship, Canadian citizenship. And was like, we're hoping to go to the U.S., but honestly, whoever accepts us first, we have to get out of Bosnia. It's war-torn right now. Canada accepts first. So Dennis is like, so we pack up, and then all of a sudden we move to Saskatchewan. He's like, and we're in Saskatchewan. He's like, in this place during the winter, he's like, there's all this snow, and it's minus 40. He's like, my dad had to plug in the car overnight just so that it would start in the morning. We'd never seen anything like it. He's like, and then after, a year of this, my dad's like, I got a better job. We're moving to Winnipeg. He's like, bro, Winnipeg's even worse. He's like, it's not a great place. He's like, we stayed there for 2 years. Then after that, my dad was like, hey, we're moving again, this time to Hamilton. He's like, and that was like the land of milk and honey, right? And this is Hamilton. Hamilton's awful. Hamilton they never left. They've been there for like 30 years now, right? Hamilton was like, oh my God, we've made it to Los Angeles. This is Beverly Hills compared to Winnipeg, Manitoba, which is not someplace you want to go. So yeah, they got the Winnipeg Jets, but they barely support them, and it's just really not that much.
They love the Blue Bombers. CFL, big CFL city.
Big CFL city, which I think in a nutshell tells you everything you need to know about Winnipeg.
Well, I think it's because like the Blue Bombers have been like the one. It's the CFL for anybody who doesn't pay attention to Canadian football. I don't blame you. But yeah, it's like the one team that hasn't left, right? Because like the Jets originally, got bounced. They support their teams out there. I mean, this is no slight on the great people of Winnipeg. I'm sure if you know the right places to be in, it's not that bad. It's like any city, like Toronto. Of course, you could get yourself in a ton of trouble. But yeah, if you're in downtown Winnipeg, you're gonna see some things. Not so different than any other city. I think a lot of the Americans, people from the South, maybe like a Márcio Barbosa, are going to be not so pleased about it being mid-April and below freezing at night, pretty much every single night there. These are things that they're going to have to get used to. I don't know if that helps with weigh-ins or anything like that. Anyway, we've talked way too much about Winnipeg. Let's get to the main event of UFC Winnipeg. We got Gilbert Burns taking on Mike Malott. Malott, a minus 310 favorite to come back on Gil, plus 260. There's been a little bit of a market move on Gil. He got as high, open. It kind of spiked up to 425, and then there's been some money coming in. Where are you with the main event of UFC Winnipeg, Cody?
Yeah, truthfully, I don't love breaking down these Canadian cards because I am friends with a bunch of these guys, and I'm not going to sit here and give you terrible advice or bad advice, or at least advice that I don't truly believe in. So sometimes it's hard to say, yeah, hey, Mike Malott is a great guy, which I do believe. solid dude. Everybody in Canada is behind him. Good looking, good fighter. But yeah, there's got to be a price point. When he was we opened up at like minus 600 and immediately moved down. And then since then, it's been trending downwards. It's like, I get it. Sometimes you got to look for how much risk you're taking in comparison to how much reward. And in this case, I think you're taking quite a bit of risk. Again, Mike's got all these great assets going in his way, but I don't really think that he's built for 5 rounds. This is his first time to fight 5 rounds. This is his first time headlining a UFC card, but there's been some examples throughout. Most notably, he fought Bellator 142 against Thomas Dieng. The first round, he 10-8'd Thomas Dieng. The second round, he absolutely gasses out. And then he loses the second, he loses the third. The fight ends up getting ruled a draw. Fair. He won 6 straight fights after that, all inside the distance. The vast majority of them in the first round. He didn't get tested in the third round until he fought Neil Magny. So the first round, he looks awesome. The second round, he looks good. The third round, it's like, it looked like Rinner de Ritter running a marathon, he's at the halfway point. It's just like, oh, my body's seasoned. Now, unlike Rinner de Ritter, at least he didn't quit, but his body shut down. He wasn't able to defend anything. He gets taken down by Neil Magny and he gets thrashed on the ground. Now, Mike Malott is a BJJ black belt. And in a lot of these fights, he's utilizing excellent grappling, but Magny's a black belt too. And so once you can get this guy tired and you can take him to the ground, that's when the ground and pound is going to be opening up. That's when the advantageous spots are going to open up. Neil Magny did an awesome job of taking advantage of that. Now, he's fought 3 times since, but it's key to note that the first fight after Magny, he fought Trevin Giles and he didn't do anything. And he was actually on the microphone afterwards. He's like, well, I was a little bit nervous about pushing myself because I had to tell myself I can fight 15 minutes. And I had to take the risk-adverse approach. And 2 of the judges' scorecards scored a round against him. You're losing a round to Trevin Giles. The Charles Radke fight, Radke's a little undersized. It's a nice win. Looks a lot better after last weekend as well. I'm not taking that away from him. But Radke's, a top 40 guy in the division. His last fight with Kevin Holland, it's not a knockdown, but Kevin Holland catches a kick in the first round, hits Malott on the side of the head. Malott does hit the canvas fairly hard. Holland jumps on him, has some good spots. They stand up. He takes the 2 groin shots. And listen, anybody that's watched the fight, you can't tell me that it didn't affect Kevin Holland. He complained about it for damn near 10 minutes. He took the full 5. Then he squeezed out another 45 seconds. Then they're fighting, and he's still walking away complaining about it. Then he complains about it for the full minute in between rounds. Then he complained for it for 90 seconds before the start of round 2. Merg eventually was like, you're going to fight or you're going to get disqualified. Disqualified? He got hit in the groin twice. He actually won the first round, got hit in the groin twice, telling his corner, I can't move because every time I move, my balls start to hurt. And Paul, you've been hitting the groin before. I've been hitting the groin before. We're both played goalie in hockey for a decade plus. Okay? I know exactly what he feels like, where it's like, I move to the side, it's like, oh God, I'm going to throw up. I move to the left, and it's like, oh my God, I'm lightheaded. Yeah. And so Kevin Holland's still competitive in that fight for the later 2 rounds, but he loses them, and they're in Canada, and they're going to do him no favors, and so Mike Malott wins that one. When you look at his body of work, his career best win in the UFC is Kevin Holland. He's beaten Charles Radke, Trevin Giles, Adam Fugit, Johan Lioness, Mickey Gall, won against Simon Shominski. I still butchered that 3 times. On the Contender Series, he's never beaten a top 15 guy. He's never fought a 4th or 5th round. This is by far the biggest fight of his career. And I understand Gil's 39 years old and on a 4-fight losing streak, but Mike Malott's 35 years old. So when you look at cardio, probably 34, turning 35. When you look at cardio problems, is it the kind of thing that you can shore up? Is it the kind of thing that you can improve that drastically when you're a mid-30s? I'm not entirely sure. Burns, meanwhile, it's very easy to say, well, he's on a 4-fight losing streak and he hasn't looked good in a little while. Well, let's just look actually back at his last 6 losses. So he loses to Kamaru Usman for the title. Kamaru Usman's a former decorated champion. Yep. Then he loses to Khamzat Chimaev, who is the current champion. Then he loses to Bilal Muhammad. Go ahead.
And put Chimaev through his hardest test up to that point in his career.
Yeah, just dogged him, stuffed the takedowns, and then came forward throwing hands. And there's no doubt that he's tired, but Chimaev's tired. And that's where Gil is a dog on a bone, is that if you guys are both the same level of fatigue, he's going to march forward and he's going to throw. My worry is that Mike Malott may look good in the first round or 2 here, but as Gil starts to slow, which he will, he always slows. He's 39 and it's Gilbert Burns, let's be real. As he starts to slow, Mike may slow as well. And so if that's the case, this thing isn't minus 300 Mike Malott, it's an even fight. And so again, he loses to Chimaev, very hard-fought battle. He loses to Usman, where he won the first round. Loses to Bilal Muhammad, a former champion. Loses to Jack Maddalena, a former champion. Loses to Sean Brady, a top 5 guy, and then loses to Michael Morales, a future champion and a current top 5 guy. So again, it's like a 4-fight losing streak, but all against the best guys of the division. He's not fighting Charles Radke. He's not fighting Trevin Giles. Like, how do you think Gilbert Burns does against those guys? I would say pretty good. Mm-hmm. He's fighting against the creme de la creme and coming up short. When you say coming up short, he won the first 2 rounds against Jack Maddalena. He took him down 7 times.
Yep.
Now the guy ended up winning a UFC title. He got a takedown over Sean Brady. He got a takedown over Michael Morales. All of this looks good. If he takes down Mike Malott, Mike Malott's a BJJ black belt, but Burns is a competition black belt. Burns is a guy that's coaching at Killcliff. You don't think he sees hot, good-looking prospects come in the gym all the time, and his job is to humble them. He's a veteran. He's got a lot of wisdom, and I think he's going to apply that wisdom to this particular fight. And so, yeah, I mean, he's a hot starter. And so if he fights competitively the first round or 2, and then all of a sudden, as this gets to a 3rd, 4th, and 5th, it becomes uncharted territory for Mike Malott, where it is spots that Gil has been in before. He's been in there with bigger punchers. He's been in there with better wrestlers. He's been in there with a wide array of opponents. So to say that he's, out of his depth or should be a big underdog, like I'm not necessarily seeing. And of course I am a Mike Malott fan, but you got to sometimes look at the number. If you think this guy's going to win, it's like, yeah, I think he's going to win. Minus 200 is a great price tag. Would you bet him at minus 300? Yeah, I guess I would. Would you bet him at minus 400? Would you bet him at minus 500? Would you bet the guy at minus? There's always a price point where you're going to be like, no, at that price, I would take the other guy. Well, that's what I'm seeing here. No one's expecting this to be a super easy fight. It's the best level of guy that Mike has fought in his career. Whereas I'm not saying it's the worst guy that Gilbert Burns has fought, but it would be considered a step down in competition considering he's been fighting nothing but former champions, current champions, future champions, and top 5 guys, and now he's taking on a guy that's ranked 28th. So it's a step down for Burns. It's a step up for Mike Malott. I don't agree with the price tag. So when you're seeing this line movement on Gilbert Burns, it's that he, at his win percentage, it's like he wins often enough that betting him at this type of plus money does make sense. And I don't disagree whatsoever. It's hard for me to say this, but it's a total dog or pass fight. And I end up with a Gilbert Burns play. I know it's going to upset some people I know personally, and, don't shoot the messenger. It's just, sometimes it's more economics than going with your heart, going with, your bias. I love Canadian fighters. There's 9 of them on this card. 8 of them are the betting favorite. I don't think 8 of them are going to win come Saturday night. So we just got to identify which ones could potentially blow it. Again, I love Mikey. I really do. But I think it's a winnable spot for Gilbert Burns, and it pays a lot better. So that's what I went with.
Yeah. Who is going to drop the proverbial poop in the mincemeat pie? I think mincemeat's a Canadian thing.
Is it? You should have said poutine, I guess. But in Manitoba, where are they getting
that actually would have been better. You're
where are they? Although the potato game's probably solid.
I'm surprised that you said Burns, to be perfectly honest. I was expecting you to be a Malott guy.
Man, I know. I'm gonna take flack.
I agree. We met him in person out with Bronstetter outside the PFL at whatever arena that was in Vegas, and really nice guy. He's exactly kind of what you see in interviews, like
proper
very
Mike.
Genuine, nice, proper. He's proper Mike for sure. But yeah, I have no idea what direction this market's going to go in at this point. Could you wait and maybe get a better price on Burns? Like, it's been all one way direction. I've got a little bit at like plus 316 on Burns, but I also like the late round props. Now, I will preface this as saying, like, some of the books I have access to, because this happened with like the Hoke at round 3 thing last week. I had people messaging me about because it was like 10-1 at like some of the other books and 9-1 at one book for like Hoke at round 3. And I had like 22-1 and it was still hanging out at 22-1. So it's like, I outright had to tell one guy, Vince, who I think listens to the show every single week. I had to tell him, like, I don't know if I would take 10-1. Like 10-1 for a round 3 prop is pretty short. But yeah, those round 4, round 5 props. I mean, one of my books has round 4 50-1. But I mean, that's way off market. It's hard to really compare. Sure. And like maybe I shouldn't even, and like 77-1 in round 5. It's just like, the way I look at those, do I think they're going to win? No. But like, what result do I need for me to feel good about that? I really just need that fight to get into round 4 for me to be like, okay, the work is done, whether it wins or loses at this point. I feel good about the bet. He could look terrible, but if it gets to round 4, I'm going to be like, we're in the money rounds, and I've seen Mike Malott in a high-paced fight against Neil Magny really slow down in round 3. So that's kind of my mindset. Do I think it's going to win? No, but I mean, that's why the odds are so wide. If it gets to the money rounds, as I like to call them when I'm watching, we're in the money rounds. I'm going to feel good about it, win or lose. So Burns is the side for me. I see some other people saying that, like, he's going to run, Burns is going to get knocked out in the first round. I mean, it's possible. It's MMA. Anything can happen. But, like, I'm going to give Gilbert Burns a pass for getting knocked out in round 1 by Michael Morales. Like, Michael Morales very possibly could beat Islam Makhachev this year. Like, that's not a crazy take whatsoever. That guy's an absolute beast. He's got really all of the tools, and he's got crazy dynamite in his hands. He's got a lot of size on Makhachev as well. So it's like, if they book that fight, like, that's probably going to be maybe closer lined than people would anticipate. So Michael Morales, an absolute stud. Give him a pass on that. And as you said, like, Gil's been fighting all of the best. He's 39 years old. He's almost a man. He's almost 40. And yeah, the performances haven't been as good. The gas tank hasn't been as good. Like, I understand why he would be an underdog here, but even at like plus 260, I still think it's the side. Anyway, let's move on to the co-main event. We got Charles Jourdain taking on Kyler Phillips. Jourdain a minus 150 favorite to come back on Phillips plus 130. Who you got here?
Yeah, well, I do have Jourdain, but the best thing you can do about this one is bet Jourdain after the first round. Like, Kyler Phillips is one of the best one-round guys you will see. This guy doesn't lose first rounds to anybody. In all of his losses, the Rolian Pava fight, he wins a 10-8 first round, and he gasses out. That's what he does. Gasses out, loses 2, loses 3. It ends up being should have been a draw, but he ends up losing a majority decision. But I mean, the first round, he looked mint. His fight with Rob Font, he won the first round. His fight with Vinicius Oliveira, he won the first round. Said again, he's one of these guys that I wouldn't say he doesn't pace himself. It's that in his particular case, he's very fast twitch muscle. He's fast, man. His double leg's excellent. His ability to get to the hips, his level change, even his striking. When he hits, it's not like, he's just got a little pop jab. He's not like he's touching his opponent. He explodes with these big shots. And I just think he can't maintain that for 10 minutes, let alone 15 minutes. Now, he's not a quitter, and he doesn't have durability issues. When he loses, he's losing by decision. It's that after a really good first round, he kind of tends to come unglued. Charles Jourdain's got a nasty guillotine choke, but again, Kyler Phillips hasn't been finished, so I can't rely on Charles Jourdain to be getting taken down constantly and grab that choke, but I can rely on Charles Jourdain just to keep up a really high pace and to make this guy overwork. Jourdain's kryptonite is his takedown defense. He shows 47% across the board, but I mean, Victor Henry took him down 4 times. Sean Woodson took him down. Ricardo Ramos took him down twice. Nathaniel Wood took him down 5 times. Shane Burgos took him down twice. Yeah, Lando Venata, Andre Ewell had taken him down. You go and watch his fights in TKO. He's getting taken down by TJ Laramie a dozen times. He cannot wrestle. Now, I understand a lot of that is at 145, and now he's at 135, which I think is a total difference maker. But, the Victor Henry fight was at 135, and he got taken down 4 times prior to grabbing the guillotine choke. So the worry here is that if Kyler Phillips, who's going to be able to get takedowns if he wants them, if he gets the takedowns and Charles Jourdain accepts the position, then he'll be able to do that for 1 or 2 rounds, and then, maybe just coast out the third. To me, though, it's that threaten with the guillotine, because all it's going to do is just cause this guy to work. Threaten with the guillotine choke, cause him to change positions, cause a scramble, get back up to your feet, cause him to shoot again. If you can cause him to have to, reactionary takedowns, chain wrestling, maybe have to take you down 2-3 times in that first initial round, he's going to tire. Once he tires, that's where Charles Jourdain really takes over. He's dynamic in the sense that his striking techniques, it's a little bit wild, but he'll throw spinning back fists. He'll throw spinning techniques. He'll throw flying knees. He's known for his flying knee. That's why they call him Air Jourdain. The guy can land that big shot, but it's also just the work rate. It's about, getting his opponents to engage him and really have a fight. The best way to fight him is to just staple him to the mat and take no risks. But that's not really who Kyler Phillips is. He is an action guy. He wants to have an entertaining fight. He wants to knock you out. He wants to finish you. He wants to come forward. And so Charles will engage him. He'll make that happen. But I feel like we're fighting out of the hole 0-1 going into the second and third round. That's where Jourdain should come alive and win the second and third round to get us a decision victory. Or, maybe grab the guillotine choke in the second round and grab us a submission. But the first round ain't going to be super easy, man. Again, it's like defensive wrestling has always been his issue, and Kyler Phillips really does thrive in that department. He's an MMA lab guy. He's going to have a good game plan. It's that time and time again. And hate to compare him to Mike Malott, but time and time again, it's like when you're fading in these later rounds, how often do you see it in the UFC where it's 1-1 going into the third? How often do you see, you're a better Paul. How often do you win the first round? You're like, yeah, we're looking good. And midway through the second, the ticket's done right then and there. Because your guy's now all of a sudden running on fumes. Kyler's been that guy. He's ultra talented. He's going to win over Song Yadong. At his best, he's good. So if you can make him work, he generally comes unseamed. And Charles Jourdain is just too wild, too reckless, and really does make you work. And I think that high level of work rate is eventually going to be the demise for one Kyler Phillips. So it's a Jourdain play for me, but you can bet him as a slight favorite right now. Do I love that? It's going to be a close fight. I would love it a lot more if we can get some plus money after he drops the first round, which in Phillips' case, he's got 3 losses in the UFC. He's never lost a first round. This is what he does. If you would have live bet his opponents in all 3 of those losses, you'd have felt way better about it than that pre-flop money line. So that's all I can really leave you with is keep an eye on the in-game action. And then as far as the straight up picks prior goes, I do have Charles Jourdain to win one way or another.
I don't have much to add to that, to be perfectly honest. You're kind of reading you're reading my notes on this one, to be perfectly honest. Kyler Phillips, every single round one, it's just like he puts it on people, but typically can't keep that pace. Is he going to come in and just have like a takedown hold position strategy here? Unlikely, but possible. And that's where I think Charles Jourdain could lose if like Kyler Phillips throws his regular type of strategy out the window. But yeah, I kind of think the same thing. Just like make them work. Rounds 2 and 3, you're going to take over. Pre-flop, the pick would be Charles Jourdain. I'm not getting overly invested in that. Haven't even looked at the prices for it, but the splitty props, split props on this one could be kind of interesting. Not sure about the number on anything like that. I'm just trying to pull it up right now, see if they're even available. Fight ends by split or majority decision. Yeah, Jourdain by split, 11-1.
I like that. It's in Canada.
I don't hate that. I don't hate the thing about it is that like Phillips has been in there with some really, really good opponents. He doesn't get finished. Good training room that he's in on a daily basis. Like he's a good all around fighter. Cardio at 135 seems to be his one weakness and how things fall apart. But on top of that, we're in Canada. People are going to be cheering for Charles Jourdain. I mean, Winnipeg and Quebec they're separated by the big province of Ontario, so it's not like going to be crazy. It's not like it's in Montreal where like Jourdain's fan base would be thriving around there for sure. But
Canada's
still going to be cheering for Canada, and Charles Jourdain is a likable figure up here in the Great White North. So yeah, I could sink my teeth into some Jourdain by split decision. Fight ends in split decision, and then more of an attention to trying to bet Jourdain live if I see if I see things kind of working, if I see a high pace in that round 1. I mean, if Phillips just takes him down, holds him down, and does nothing and doesn't really exert himself in round 1, I would be hesitant in round 2. Like, you want to see Jourdain getting back up from those types of positions. These are all things you got to kind of think about pre-flop. And then MMA is crazy. Sometimes what you're thinking about pre-flop doesn't actually doesn't actually happen when they touch gloves and actually start fighting. But
you're right though. Like he's at the MMA lab. He's got John Crouch. They're known for good game plans, and you're on a 2-fight losing streak. So what would your head coach tell you, kid? You need to win. It's more than just be entertaining all the time. You've lost 2 in a row. You lose 3 in a row, you could be cut. And then where are you going to make a living in combat sports? in MMA if you're not in the UFC. Like PFL's not signing you for a big money deal on a 3-fight losing streak. One Championship's not signing you on a big money deal on a 3-fight losing streak. Kyler Phillips is only 30 years old. Like, he's not an old man, right? You think he can improve, you think he can get better, but getting a win is most important. So Paul is right. If he goes in the first round, he takes him down and literally just pins him to the mat, then it's like, oh, he is fighting that game plan. If he takes him down, he tries to drub him with a series of elbows, or he tries to pass guard, then then all of a sudden it's like, oh, no, he's going for it. Going for it could be a problem, but it gets really cold in Manitoba at nighttime. This guy's from Arizona. Thing is, it gets really cold in Arizona at nighttime, so he'll be fine. They're both the same age. I'm expecting a tough fight, but the live bet's probably the best angle.
And I don't hate like an over 2.5. You may have your butt puckered on that though. Like, it's not like, this is not like a Yuri versus Ulberg fight doesn't go to decision type of play. It's just like something that I would like maybe mix into a couple parlays this week. Over 2.5 is like minus 180. Considering Phillips hasn't been finished, I don't mind that.
The only worry that I got there is that it's like, well, he's never been finished, and he's fought some good guys, but with Charles Jourdain, the last 2 guillotine chokes, like, Victor Henry's super durable. He's a Josh Barnett guy.
Yeah.
Guillotine defense is his thing. And then in his last fight, Davy Grant is the most durable. And like, you're catching those guys in guillotines. This is your move. He's got I wouldn't say he's got long arms, but like, he's got long arms for the division. And as soon as he grabs a hold of this thing, like, seems to have a good bite on it. Phillips is a wrestler. He tends to shoot his neck sometimes to the outside. I wouldn't say it's impossible, but I would personally, I would actually favor the over 2.5. I wouldn't love it to the moon because, yeah, man, Charles Jourdain, he's snatching it up next. It's pretty crazy, right? I mean, maybe you can do it to a higher level guy, or maybe he could, in fact, catch a Kyler Phillips.
We got rack garbage. Mandel Nallo taking on Jai Herbert. Nallo, a minus 170 favorite to come back on Herbert, plus 145. Where are you at with this one, buddy?
Yeah, it's good matchmaking in the sense that Mandel Nallo is 36 years old, and he's making his UFC debut. So they've given him a guy who's 37 years old. This is great. You don't want to be fighting a 25-year-old contender series guy or some 28-year-old established in the division type guy. You want to fight a guy relatively your age with relative proportions. You know, Jai Herbert's tall, long, rangy, 77-inch reach. Mandel Nallo's 6'1", got a 75-inch reach. Like, I think that it's a good style clash for him. I think that them being the same age is important, but also when you're 36 years old and you're making your UFC debut, you really don't have time to waste on fighting guys that are 0-1 in the division or 1-1 in the division. So beating Jai Herbert, a guy that's fought in the likes of Ilya Topuria, a guy that's, tenured within the division, beating him would kind of help leapfrog you into some more meaningful fights off the gate. So I think that this is a good fight for Mandel Nallo, and it should be a bit of a coming out party of sorts for him. The problem with Jai Herbert is that he's just so low volume. Like, there's honestly no volume going on. If you look at the fight metrics, you'll say, well, he landed 82 against Rolando Bedoya. Rolando Bedoya is a punching bag.
Yeah.
So putting up 82 against him, it's really not that impressive. Let's look at the other fights that likewise go to decision. He landed 36 significant strikes against Kyle Nelson in 15 full minutes. He landed 43 against Ludovic Klein in 15 full minutes. He landed 49 against Faraz Ayam. He landed 38 in his last fight against Chris Padilla. All of these fights went 15 minutes. Whereas Rat Garbage, you can look at the one fight in the Contender Series, but he lands 30 significant strikes in 3.5 minutes. He's on pace for landing over 100. When you watch him in Bellator, again, he's a smooth operator. Because he's a little bit older, he is experienced. You and I attended his pro debut at Slam 1 in Quebec. We show up, watch. It was a TriStar squash card of epic proportions that featured Olivier Aubé-Mercier and Ryan Hall and Alex Garcia and like a bunch of guys that would later go to the UFC. They all got their cracks way earlier. Mandel just got caught in no man's land. My story there is that we're all boozed after the event. We end up at a McDonald's and Mandel Nallo's there. And he's like, he's young, dude. He's young then. He's 36 now. I guess he would have been, 21, maybe 22. He's a couple years older than me. And I was young. So anyways, we end up at a McDonald's and he's there with some of his high school buddies. They're all ordering. They're all boozed. He's sitting in the corner of the restaurant with no McDonald's and no drinks. So we went over to him. We're like, dude, you kicked that guy in the head. You like sweet knockouts. Oh, thanks, man. Super humble guy. Wasn't putting junk in his body. Was taking it seriously. You knew that he was going to make it at some point. And then, yeah, he just got caught in no man's land where he's in a Bellator contract. All of those Bellator losses, the Achilles fight, he wins the first round. Second round, he's competitive. And then, he hurts his leg. Leg kicks caused it, but he blows his knee out, right? His loss to Brown, right? When he lost to Brown in Bellator, he wins the first round against Nick Brown. The second round, he ends up getting caught. His last loss, Adam Piccolotti, he won the second round. He gets caught in the third, right? Well, the thing with Jai Herbert is Jai Herbert don't beat you later into the fight. Jai Herbert needs to beat you in the first round. After that, he just starts going through the motions. Rat Garbage has got better ground game. He's got better striking, in my opinion. He's got better volume. If you talk to anybody at TriStar, they've been saying this for years. He beats UFC level guys all of the time. Guys come in and they have to spar with him, and he puts them through the pace. And this is guys like Nasrat Haqparast, who fights in the UFC, or Arnold Allan, who fights in the UFC. And he's hanging with all these guys, high-level guys, in the gym. They all wanted him to get a chance. It just, it never materialized. So Dana's been vocal, we don't want 33-year-old guys in the Contender Series. And here they took a 36-year-old based on he's got some credible skill. He fought the Cage Warriors champion, and he knocked him out in 3.5 minutes. So I think that this is a good spot for him to go and look good against a European level guy, which Jai Herbert very much is. Herbert also at 37 years old, he fought twice in 2022. He fought twice in 2023. And then he fought once in 2024. Fights once in 2025. This will be his one and only fight of 2026. I think he's got some injuries. I think he's slowing down a little bit. He's already low volume to begin with. And the way to beat Mandel Nallo is not just catch him in the first round. It's you got to put a pace on him and beat this guy down, cause him to make a mistake later in the fight. And, that's just not Jai Herbert. I do understand people are replaying this clip of Jai Herbert kicking Ilia Topuria in the head. Well, Ilia Topuria is 5'7", okay? So when you're 6'1", 6'2", taking on a guy that's 5'7", yeah, the head kick's going to be there. And against Mandel Nallo, I don't really think the head kick's going to be there. So you're going to have to use competent boxing and have a good jab and keep this fight upright. And you watch back his fight with Kyle Nelson, he robs Kyle Nelson. But why? Well, because they're in the UK. Right. And so now you're not in the UK. You're not going to get the favorable rub. You're going to physically have to go do something to win this fight. And I just don't think he's going to do it. So this is actually good value, good money line, good pick. I think Mandel Nallo gets the job done, gets the victory.
Yeah. In terms of like a side, I'm not too sold on Nallo. We'll kind of see. But like I kind of like the under. This one's like I was expecting like a 1.5 total here. And I know it's because Jai Herbert's been going to the decision with just about everybody. But with all these boring fights and stuff, his job's probably pretty on the line in this matchup against Nallo. I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit more of a high-paced affair. Guy slinging a little bit. Nallo, if you go through his fights, but a lot of these fights are against like much lower level competition on like whatever that promotion.
Carrington Banks is not bad.
No, not Carrington Banks, but like that BTC, like that Burlington promotion, like the lower level Canadian regionals. Like, yeah, he's absolutely folding those types of guys, but he's typically a pretty, a big time finisher in most of his fights. So like the -160 range, I don't think it's too bad. Like I do expect this fight to end inside the distance. Probably my favorite way to attack this fight. Like Jai's been hanging out on the outside, but like now he's got a fight that's like his opponent kind of has the same dimensions. You can't just hang out and use that reach because he'll be able to hit you from that range as well. So that could change a lot of things. And then, yeah, just to kind of touch on the Ilia Topuria knockdown, it's like that was Topuria's second fight in the UFC. You remember he came in as a underdog against Yusuf Salau. He's like +160. We saw him on the regional scene on this very show, and we're just like, oh no, this Topuria guy's actually super, super legit. I don't know if at that moment in time I thought he was going to become what he was, but that's all to say that like, he wasn't always as like arguably the best fighter in the sport right now. Pound for pound, I would say is the best fighter in the sport right now. He'll be on the White House card. Looking forward to the return of Ilia Topuria, but I think he's probably improved just immensely since then. And if they ran back Jai Herbert versus Ilia Topuria, he flatlines him in round 1. Like, it's probably not competitive whatsoever this time. He got him with a nice shot, still lost the fight in round 2. MMA is a crazy sport, but wasn't able to capitalize on that moment. Maybe he can land something big on Nallo, get the finish. My preferred play in this fight is the under 2.5 rather than a side, but Nallo is the pick for the purposes of this program. Moving on down, we've got Jasmine Jasudavicius taking on Karine Silva, minus 300 for Jazz. The comeback on Silva, plus 250. Where you at?
Yeah, I got Jasmine Jasudavicius here. Again, she's got good wrestling by division standards, and she's got a really good grappling, like top game. Good elbows, good ground and pound, good threat of the submission, grabs the neck. On the feet, she's very much a just scrap type fighter. She'll come forward, she'll sling hands, but it's to get to the inside where she can shoot this takedown. That last time against Manil Firo, it's very difficult because knockout aside, it's that when you look at it from a style clash standpoint, Manil Firo is very fleet-footed, so you got to really track her down. And Jasmine's a little more flat-footed and plodding, so not that she can't track you, but it's more chasing than cutting off the angle and cutting off the cage. So you knew she was constantly going to be coming forward and maybe largely chasing an opponent that's backpedaling and jabbing. And Manil Firo just has that point style fighting that she can touch and go, touch and go, touch and go, plus good takedown defense, strong for the division. All these things were going to bode bad, I think, for that particular matchup. But Manil Firo is not the biggest puncher going, and so her getting the quick first-round knockout, maybe not the best look in the world. I think Canadians were hoping that Jasmine would win that fight and then get a title fight or be able to move into a meaningful fight and fight for the belt. She's a little bit older, not necessarily in her career because she had a late start, but when you look at a contender and they're 37 years old, the time is now. So a win over Manil Firo likely would have gotten her that title fight, but the loss has set her back. The thing with Karine Silva, or Killer Karine, she doesn't really have this big punching power. She fancies herself a grappler as well. No doubt she's got a nasty submission game, but I don't think she's got the better wrestling than Jasmine. So I think if someone's getting the takedowns and establishing top control, it likely would be Jasudavicius. Karine Silva, meanwhile, if she can shoot a bad takedown, maybe she'll attack the neck. Maybe she'll try to grab one of her Dar's chokes up. But we've seen in her last couple of fights, so 2 back. Actually, kind of look at the last 3. Her versus Vivian Arroyo, she gives up the 3 takedowns. She gets out-muscled. Even though she's got great jiu-jitsu, it's not necessarily good off your back jiu-jitsu.
It's hard getting subs off your back these days, even in women's MMA. It used to be like armbar from guard. It's like you don't see them anymore. Everyone's drilled that. Everyone's ready for that.
Yeah, everyone knows to just don't hang out in guard, get to half guard. And when the arm comes up, know to clear the elbow and many of the same things where it's like she likes the arm bar, she likes the Dar's choke, she likes the knee bar. Same thing. It's like you see the knee bar setup coming. When was the last time you saw a knee bar in the UFC? Not that they don't work at the regional scene level, but triangle chokes work at the regional scene level too. They don't really work in the UFC, at least not on a high percentage, high effectiveness scale.
Not like they used to 5 years ago.
Yeah, that used to be it. What you got to watch out for this guy's guard. Oh, you don't want. Why is he trying to take down Rodolfo Vieira? Does he not know? It's like, dog. If you get on top of Rodolfo Vieira, he doesn't got much to offer you. He gets on top of you, well, it's a much different story.
It's a head and arm choke, and you're done.
Yeah, he's got a series that he goes to, right? Karine Silva's got a little series that she goes to, and it works effective against lower level. But Ariana Lipski was able to defend for the most part and lose a decision, but defended. And then Vivian Arroyo muscles her, takes her down 3 times. Dion Barbosa, I had money on Karine Silva, and watching it in the moment, I thought Karine Silva won because the 3rd round she attempted the submissions. But I watched it back for Barbosa's fight last week, a couple weeks ago. And I don't know, man. Karine Silva spends more often than not. She's getting taken down and she's fighting off of her back. Yep. Get up game is not world class. The submissions, like we just discussed, are not high probability. And the last fight with Macy Barber, it's kind of the same thing. She just gives up the takedowns to a stronger, more physical girl. And then you're taking, you're spending too much time on your back. There's control times racking up, ground and pounds racking up, and inevitably you lose the fight. So for Jasmine, I kind of feel like that's how it goes. Standing, she's got more output. She'll enter the pocket. She should be throwing punches and punches, and I think she'll kind of outwork Karine Silva standing. If she can stuff the takedowns, she can win this fight on the feet. If she decides to win the fight on the feet a little bit and then offensively take Karine Silva down and spend 2 minutes on top, laying some ground and pound, that's how you really solidify this as an easier victory than, leaving it up to the judges and having them say, well, it was all on the feet, or, you didn't shoot enough takedowns. It's like, just stamp each round with a takedown in 90 seconds or 2 minutes of control time. But otherwise, I think she should be good standing. And so I think she's got multiple paths to victory in this particular spot. I understand at 37, maybe you start to slow down, but it's women's MMA. They fight into their 40s very competitively all of the time. In fact, I think she'll be okay here. So I got Jasmine Jasudavicius, but is the kind of thing you can put on the top? No, because it is women's MMA. But yeah, she's one of those favorites that I'm going to have to bite down and accept the price on this week.
Yeah, I like Jazz for pretty much all the same reasons that you said. I think it's just way more volume. Could use the wrestling to kind of squeak out rounds. We're in Canada, so if it's like close rounds, maybe she gets the rub because the crowd is cheering for her. A little bit of influence on that side of things. I just think that the market's probably pretty accurate right now. Like the line minus 300 seems like I just don't know if there's any value to be had at minus 300. So at this point in the week, on a Wednesday, April 15th, I'm not clicking Jazz and adding her to anything right now because I don't really think there's value. She is my pick. I think she wins by decision, but her decision props like minus 150. So it's just like, that's probably about accurate as well. So that's all to say that she's the pick. Am I going to be heavily invested in it this week? Probably not. Because she is a little bit longer in the tooth. She just got to the top of the mountain and then failed at the top of the mountain. So, like, at her age, is there really another climb to the top of that division, or was the Fiorot moment? Was that her Waterloo? Was that the battle she had to win to like get into the picture? Because probably doesn't have too many fights left. At 37 years old. It's a young man in women's game for sure. Moving on down, we have Gage Young taking on Thiago Moisés. Gage Young, a slight favorite at minus 130. The comeback on Moisés plus 110. Your thoughts?
Yeah, honestly, we don't have to spend so much time on this one. I don't know. I got Gage Young, but I don't have any good reason for you. He's only 25 years old. I think that's kind of the biggest tipping point, and this is shocking. Thiago Moisés is only 31 still. It's unbelievable.
That's crazy.
I know, it's unbelievably crazy. But Gage Young at 25, is that you can see that he's making some improvements. When he's on the Contender Series against Quinlan Salkill, he's just getting taken down left, right, and center. But to his credit, in the third round, his get-up game really wasn't bad. But in the third round, he's still trying to come forward. He's still trying to slug him out. The problem is that he just keeps getting taken down over and over again. I thought he fought valiantly, and I just didn't get the win. Eventually does sign with the UFC, fights Evan Elder. And then there's a fight where he got 30-27, and not going through the motions, just Evan Elder's a little better all around. But the kid's 24 years old at the time. He doesn't got no more than a high school wrestling background in Missouri. And it wasn't a high level. He never won no state championship. He never even wrestled that state. He wrestled a little bit. Missouri is an excellent wrestling state, so I'm sure he knows what he's doing. But he's just one of these young guys that's trying to pick up boxing and wrestling and Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu all at the same time and blend his game together. And I just don't really see anything super advanced out of him. And then that last fight with Mahashat, you're starting to see the guy come into his own. He's starting to get some experience. He's accrued some cage time. It's his third fight in the UFC. And so to win your first fight in the UFC, it's not his third fight, second fight in the UFC, but he had the fight on Contender Series as well. To finally get that win, I think that's this, it's validation that the hard work is actually, you're doing the right things. Yeah, and he's got some good volume. His wrestling's not terrible. His takedown defense, it doesn't look good because of the Salkill fight, but his get-up game looked really good there. And when I think about Thiago Moisés, he's too much of a just go through the motions kind of guy. Now, you can say all day and long, dude, he's at Fighting Nerds now. Two things there. One, he was at ATT for like 10 years. So is Fighting Nerds that much better of a gym than American Top Team? No. It's not like he's going from Bill's Taekwondo Academy to Fighting Nerds. He's going from like a pretty credible gym. The other thing is that he fought Jared Gordon out of Fighting Nerds gym, and he looked awful. Got knocked out in the first round. Shouldn't say awful. The fight was kind of done before it started, but gets taken down, kind of starts eating some ground and pound. Doesn't look great in that fight. The fight prior against Trey Ogden, very low volume. He's the one that gives up the takedown. His fight with Ludovic Klein, he got knocked down twice. His fight with Benoit Saint Denis, he absolutely got ragdolled. The guy's only taken down one opponent in the last 2 years, and it's Mitch Ramirez. So I don't have the faith that he can wrestle, or that he will wrestle, or that he can really consistently get this fight to the ground. And if he doesn't get Gage Young down to the ground, then we got a striking battle where Moisés may be able to land a few kicks here and there. He might be able to stick in the fight, but he just doesn't throw enough, and he doesn't really have any type of big fight-ending power. Yeah, he knocked out Mitch Ramirez, but we're talking about the absolute most basic level of guy. You'll, of course, remember his fight with Michael Johnson, whereas Michael Johnson is just styling on the guy. 10-8 first round. The second round, he falls on the leg. Now he has fought Islam Makhachev and made to the fourth round. He did fight Joel Alvarez, got butchered by an elbow in the first round. He has a win over Milk Costa. That's what leads you to believe, like, this guy is not 31 years old. He's been around a long time. He won an LFA title, like, a long time ago.
It's crazy his age, man, because, like, he feels like he's been around forever, because he has been around forever. He's
been fighting at a high level since he's, like, 21.
2018. Which is 8 years ago. So he's at 22 at the time. But, like, yeah, he was super, super young. We know him so much. And I think the one thing that's consistent is that he's, like, consistently inconsistent. Yeah, like having a win over Milk Costa in 2023, it wasn't that long ago. I think Milk's made a lot of improvements since then. But, like, it's a pretty damn good look. And to finish him, to boot, like, the guy's dangerous. But, like, yeah, it's a hard one to gauge. The only thing I will say is consistent is that the volume's just never there. Never throws nearly enough volume. And I think Gage Young, what he showed last time out there, was 112 significant strikes, 3 takedowns. I mean, if he doesn't have to wrestle here. He may put himself in danger trying to wrestle with a black belt of Thiago Moisés' ability in BJJ. Just use that wrestling to keep it standing. Don't turn this into the Salkild fight. Getting taken down 9 times by Salkild, not a great look. But getting up that many times is a pretty good look. Yeah, I'm going with youth here. And I will say Moisés, although we said that he's, only 31, it's just like, let's face it, man. The amount of wars, damage, everything.
Wear and tear.
This guy is not 31. This is not your average 31. Like, he has taken damage over the course of his career. Knocked out a whole bunch of times. I just don't necessarily know where he's at, and I don't know if Fighting Nerds is going to solve his issue. Haven't looked at props for this. If somebody took a Moisés by sub prop, I wouldn't fault you for that type of thing, because I think there's some questions about where Gage Young is at this stage in the game. But, like, getting taken down by Salkild, who has decent submission skills, and surviving that, not a horrible situation to be in. But yeah, I'm gonna take youth, the guy who has way less miles and way more volume. It sounds like you are too.
Yeah. Do you have any, like, crazy number on a Gage Young by knockout? And the only reason I say that is Gage Young is low-key knocked out 6 of his last 7 wins, not opponents. 6 of his last 7 wins are by knockout. And it's not like I would say Thiago Moisés is the chinniest guy, but I did lose a little bit of money that last fight with Jared Gordon, and I had Jared Gordon, but I had Jared Gordon by decision.
Yeah.
Because Jared Gordon had knocked out one of his last 6 wins. The 5 other ones were by decision. And the shot that landed, it wasn't big. It was like Moisés has 28 pro fights. He's been in the game for a decade. He's fought all the best guys. He's fought really good guys. And the damage he took against Benoit Saint-Denis, the damage he took against Joel Alvarez, the damage he took even though he beat Michael Johnson, maybe it's just compounding. And why would you leave American Top Team for Fighting here? Well, something's not clicking. You're 8-7 in the UFC. Paul mentioned there's a lot of inconsistencies, but it could be that he's one of these. He's at the tail end of his run at 31 years old. He's been chin checked a few times. He's coming off a first round knockout loss to a guy that's not considered a big power puncher. And the thing with Gage Young is he's 25. He just landed 112 significant strikes in his last fight. And he's getting better. He's getting more confident. He just won a fight in the UFC. Well, now it's not, oh my God, my back's up against the wall, I have to win this. Now it's go chase a performance and put it on old man Moisés. Old man Moisés. Do your thing, kid. And if you could get a good a good number on a Gage Young by knockout, it's not the craziest thing I heard. But of course, historically speaking, this probably seems like more of a decision fight. I don't want to bet it to be a decision fight because I bet Jared Gordon to win the decision. It really didn't work out.
Yeah, it's basically like plus 275, plus 300 at some of the American legal sports books.
Yeah, maybe not enough.
I don't love it, but like I don't hate it. What is Moisés by style? I'm not even gonna click. I'm just curious, to be perfectly honest. Plus 450, plus 500. If you were going to play Moisés, I feel like
not crazy.
I feel like that's how he gets. I mean, Gage Young going to decision against Quillen Salkeld. In hindsight now, you're just like, that's pretty impressive because Salkeld's literally just running through so many people, right? So he's pretty durable. If Moisés does get him, it would probably be a submission. Yeah, I think Gage Young just on the money line is how I'm going to approach this fight. I don't know. We'll see where the market goes in terms of props and stuff over the course of the week. But yeah, as we said, Moisés is consistently inconsistent. He's a tough guy to know, like, is his chin going to hold up to, like, getting knocked out by Gordon, as you illuminated, is like, Gordon's not knocking out too many guys. This is a guy who moved up to 155 pounds, but like is actually more of like a frame of a featherweight, if we're being completely honest.
For sure.
Struggled to make that weight. Never really been a guy that has, usually if he beats you, it's because of, if he gets a finish on you, it's more like he put up 145 significant strikes and a bunch of takedowns and wore you down and kind of finish you late. Not like a first round knockout, one of the first clean punches that he lands types of guys. So Moisés' durability, definitely a big time question mark. We got Denis Buzukia taking on promotional newcomer Márcio Barbosa. Barbosa is the biggest favorite on the card at minus 500. Come back on Buzukia plus 385. I mean, if nothing else, and like I don't think this particular fight is where the ceiling will be kind of thing. I think Márcio Barbosa wins likely by knockout. I've seen him finish a couple times on the regional scene. I think fans are going to love this guy because of how exciting he is, but he seems very, very hittable. I just don't think that Buzukia has the game to actually expose some of the issues with Márcio Barbosa. But like Barbosa's gonna, I guess it all starts with like getting the knockout in this fight against Buzukia. But like he looks like a guy when you watch like all of his fights on the regional scene. It's just like this is going to be a fan favorite. When they go down to Rio de Janeiro, it's like Márcio Barbosa will be like a curtain jerker on those types of cards. You know what I mean? Like this guy is all action, all violence, super, super fun. I think he's got some issues with, his own striking defense. He's definitely not, I'm not forecasting this guy to be a UFC champion, but he's definitely violent enough to get Denis Buzukia out of there on Saturday. Where are you at with this fight?
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't have Barbosa. I'm going to take Buzukia as the PRP pick because it's super low confidence. But what I will leave you with is that this is a live betting fight, whereas Barbosa probably knocks out Buzukia in the first round. If he does not knock him out in the first round, that's where things become infinitely greasy. Let's just talk about some Márcio Barbosa stats. So he's 17-2. Of his 17 wins, 16 of them are in the first round. The one win that's not in the first round is a split decision over a guy who's currently 2-3 as a pro.
Yeah.
His 2 losses are both in the second round. So he's only been past the first round 3 times in 20 fights or 19 fights. He's been past the first round 3 times, lost 2 of them, and won a squeaky split decision over a 2-3 bump. Okay, so yes, he's got a lot of power. But that's about all he's got is a whole lot of power. Now, I watched back that fight with Gabriel Santos. One, he missed weight for that fight, came in at 147. And this is a guy that is only 5'6". He's 3 inches shorter than Buzukia. He's got a short reach on him. He's a former 135er. He moves up to 145, and he misses weight against Gabriel Santos. That fight, the first round, he looks really good. Knocks down Santos. Santos is like, oh my God, this guy hits like a freight train. The second round starts 9 seconds in. It's like a grazing kick to the top of the head, and just equilibrium drops. He just folds to the canvas, right? Or he falls right like butt against the cage, back to the cage. They roll the thing off. As soon as the second round starts, it's like, oh, first thing that lands folds him over. I don't think he's got a great chin. I don't think he's got great cardio. I think he is a one-round banger who's knocked out mostly Brazilian oppositions when he's able to get to the target and knock them out right off the get-go. But he did miss weight by 1 pound in that fight. So you alluded to earlier, you're going to Winnipeg, the same Brazil dog. You're going down to Winnipeg, where it is very cold. Even though it's April, it's very cold in Winnipeg.
It's going down below freezing at nighttime.
You got to plug your car in so that the battery don't die overnight.
No, it's not that cold at this time of the year.
It's not right now, but it does get like that in Winnipeg sometimes.
100%. Yeah, it gets cold enough that like you can put like a pot of boiling water and it turns into ice before it hits the ground. Like that's the level of cold. I mean, it's not anybody who's from like Minnesota or something like that. It's just like, it's like Minnesota, just a little bit worse because it's a little bit further north.
Which is why Dennis will be okay, because he's been training in Las Vegas for the last 1.5 2 years. But he's from New York originally. They get winter as well. So yeah. I mean, he'll be okay with this Winnipeg weather. But I have to wonder, you got a minus 500 guy who's making his UFC debut. He's just a one-round guy for the most part. Do you trust him to fight a second or the third? He's got to fly from Brazil all the way to Winnipeg. He's got to cut weight, even though it's cold. He's been known to not be great at cutting weight to begin with. And then, this part's way more narrative. It really doesn't matter where you train, but you do like to see these guys at the MMA lab. You like to see these guys at American Top Team. You like to see these guys those are just the big ones. It could be even these smaller gyms that have a few guys in the UFC. The thing with Márcio Barbosa is he fights out of a gym called Giants Team. And I've looked him up all over Instagram. I've looked up all over his Instagram. It's the only team he fights with. It's the only place he's training with. He's the only listed fighter that fights out of the gym. There's no other pros that fight there. There's no other amateurs that fight there. And again, when you look at his Instagram, that's where he is. The last 3 or 4 days, he's been in Winnipeg training at some local jiu-jitsu place down there because he's in town. But who pushes this guy? I think he comes out and he swings bombs. And if he lands the bombs, then he'll knock you out. If for whatever reason you can extend him, the wheels are going to fall right off. And he is a minus 500 favorite. I watched back a couple times a fight with Damon Wilson on the Contender Series. Damon Wilson's landing plenty of shots.
100%.
Oh, dude, plenty. And the knees up the middle are working. All of this is going well. When I think of Buzukia, it's on a durability standpoint. He did get dropped his last fight against Francis Marshall, but he got back up and fought him to a competitive split decision where he outlanded him. He did get knocked out.
Emmers folded him. That's the issue. Like that's the fight that you're just like, well, Barbosa, if he lands like that, can get him out of there real quick too.
That's fair, and I considered that one 100%. It's like, well, Barbosa did put him out. Barbosa's got big power, and Emmers did knock him out. The thing with Jamal Emmers, though, is that he's a veteran guy. He's got 9 fights in the UFC, and he does got an okay amount of power. So, I'm not going to hold it against him. After he loses to Jamal Emmers, he beats Connor Matthews, doesn't matter. There's a competitive fight with Francis Marshall. All of it kind of bodes to the guys. He's only 28. That maybe he's making some improvements. But here's the interesting thing with him. He's originally from New York. Well, he's Albanian, but he lives in New York, and he trains with Aljamain Sterling, Jourdain. Those guys are eventually like, dude, we need more bodies. Let's go to Las Vegas. So he goes with them to Las Vegas, spends a year down there improving his skills. After that last fight with Francis Marshall, he decided to take a year off for no other reason than to improve all assets of his skills. He's been going down to Goat Shed in Florida. He's been working with Dean Thomas. He's been getting a lot of specialized training. And of course, Jourdain and Aljamain Sterling, they've been coming to help him out as well. But he specifically took the time off, not because of an injury. It was, I want to take all of 2025 to level up, come back in 2026 as a better version of myself. Because he's only 28. You lose your next fight, you might get cut. Why not take some time, improve, get better? Well, how does a guy with no money train full-time for a full year and improve? He's got money. He drives a Ferrari. So
how does Buzukia have a Ferrari?
Got to be daddy's money. He's the only thing I can think of. He's Albanian. They're good guys. They got some money. They got some support.
Yeah, because this guy hasn't gotten any fight night bonuses. Or,
Dog, he's 1-3 in the UFC.
Exactly.
I'm like, come on, what are you talking about? So
he's on the Armin Sarukian program.
But the good thing there is that if you told who's that? Brendan Jenkins. If you told Brendan Jenkins take a year to get better, well, he's still got to work his full-time job as a pool boy at Circus Board, right? But if you told a guy that had money, had resources, was only 28 years old, he took the break, he was 27. He trains with Aljamain, he trains with Merab-Dvalishvili. He's been going down and getting some really good work at the Goat Shed, which has a bunch of high-level fighters. I think he's doing all the right things, but the narrative's easy to say, he's 1-3 in the UFC. He's got no durability. Barbosa hits hard. Yeah, all of that stuff may be true, but for -500, you don't want to be going down that road,
You don't want that fight getting into round 2 hanging on to that -500.
No, this is this week's Azamat Bakoev. It looks real good on paper, but if you kind of start to peel the layers back, it's like, it's almost half stinky.
Is he that good?
Bakoev still almost won that fight. He almost knocked out Gordon in the second. And Barbosa may be able to knock out Buzukia, but Buzukia is fresh in the sense that he's not been knocked out in a year. He's not fought. And I think he's got a better grappling game. He works with Merab. He works with Aljamain. He is a BJJ black belt. If he can get this fight to the ground and even just cause Barbosa to carry his weight for the first round, second and the third, the punching power is way less. He's 3 inches taller. So if you can stay to the outside and have this guy come up short with those punches, don't engage him in the pocket. All Damon Wilson did was come forward. Don't do that. Let him come to you. Evade, take him down, wear on him, potential bad weight cut, different surroundings fighting from Brazil down to Winnipeg. Don't take the -500, man. But why I said take a live betting approach is Buzukia may get knocked out in the first round. We can't look avoid. You're not going to cost you anything. If the fight gets after this first round, I think Dennis the Menace is going to start to take over. And I know it sounds crazy, but he's the PRP pick. I think he's got a chance.
Draw. 80-1 draw.
I like it.
I just don't know if Barbosa can get to the 15 minutes if he goes so hard in round 1.
Yeah.
I feel like if you're going to bet this fight, you probably take a Márcio Barbosa round 1. I mean, his knockout prop is -200, but I guess that gets you off of the -500. Or you do your strategy, which is just don't get involved in this fight and then see if Buzukia gets his head knocked off. Monitor whether it looks like Barbosa's getting a little bit tired after what should be a very successful round 1. And maybe try to get in live on something like Buzukia. But -500, biggest favorite on the card. And when he's fought UFC level talent, he's kind of floundered, right? Gabriel Santos is a UFC level competitor. That's a good fight. Frankly, I think Gabriel Santos is better than Dennis Buzukia.
Santos only wrestles in the UFC, and here he kicks him in the head. So it's like, there's a path.
There's a path. All right, let's move on. We got Robert Valentin. Now we get into they're fighting on the card because we're in Canada and we need Canadians portion of the card. In my opinion, doesn't really make sense why Barbosa versus Buzukia is on this card. How did this one end up in Winnipeg? It probably wasn't by choice. Feels like
Thiago Moisés versus Gage Young made less sense to me for whatever reason. They just
wanted to come to Canada. Maybe they wanted to vacate. Who knows? Who knows? They need to fill a card, obviously, but a little bit of a couple strange ones there. But we got.
I heard that some of the Americans were having trouble getting their visas, so they decided to pull from countries that would have an easier time getting a visa application through. But I don't know, man. I got a theory about this next one too, though.
We got Robert Valentin taking on Julien Leblanc. Valentin's a -145 favorite. There's been a little bit of money coming in on Robert Valentin. LeBlanc can be had for +125. You've got a hot take, you're saying. Let's hear it.
Yeah, well, it's not a hot take, but you're going to take some dog money here on Robert Valentin. On Julien Leblanc's not good.
No, he's not a dog. He's a favorite.
Oh, he's a favorite now. Yeah, well, it's moved in the right direction. Julien Leblanc is legitimately not good. He's not good. I don't think he's ever been good. He's got this thing, though, where he goes around Canada and he tells everybody that's willing to listen to him how he's a UFC-level guy, how he could win fights in the UFC. He's been down to American training camps before and got his ass kicked in the gym, but he maintains that the UFC should give him a chance, and how he's such a high caliber guy. And to his credit, he sells a lot of tickets. And when I say he sells a lot of tickets, I mean this guy gets paid about $50,000 every time he fights in Canada for no other reason than he gets a percentage of his ticket sale money, and he sells a lot of tickets. Big mouth, talks to people all the time, got to back him up. Boom. He's 34 years old. The UFC's had zero interest in this guy. His losses, he lost to Damian Lapilus, which is Taylor Lapilus's far less talented older brother.
In
who
fairness,
easily took him down.
Damian was probably on lots of steroids in that
so
fight.
many steroids. yes. But also, it's like, before the Lapilus fight, he beat Montoya Swilling, who's 0-15 now. He beat Mike Kent, God rest his soul, killed himself. Jourdain Angus, God rest his soul, killed himself. And they all had losing records. And so he's fighting guys that were depressed in Canada with drinking problems. That's the level he beats. And then he tells everybody how good he is. So he fights Damian Lapilus, who's probably on steroids. The guy just can't help himself. Taylor's a good guy. Real martial arts, clean-blooded. Damian not so much. He's got taken down so many times. Then he goes to LFA because it's COVID. Not a whole lot of popping off in Canada. He fights Joel Bowman down there at 185. And, well, Joel Bowman takes him down a bunch and grinds him as well. Then he just goes back to his random run-of-the-mill beating up lesser talented guys. Finally, he says, well, give me a UFC veteran. And they bring in Darian Weeks. Now, Darian Weeks went 0-3 in the UFC, but he fought Ian Gary to a decision. He fought Brian Barberena to a decision. He lost to Johan Lioness. Woof. Then it was by split decision. So it is a UFC veteran, but it's a 0-3 guy. Tamper off your expectations. First round, Weeks takes him down and wins the round. Second round, Weeks takes him down and is largely winning the round. Third round, he clips Weeks with a knee. Now, it goes to the end of the third, and they stop it on a cut. And Weeks freaks out. And so I've tried to book Darian Weeks to fight in Canada after that fight, and he thinks that Canadians have it out to get him, that it's the worst place to fight because they're only going to back their own guy. He feels very, very hard done that he got screwed in that fight versus Julien Leblanc. That doesn't get him to the UFC. So you know what he does? He fights Ryan Rahovich, who's 6-9, and a former really bad alcoholic, and he takes him to the third round and finishes him. And that doesn't get you to the UFC, but this is what gets him to the UFC. Stefan Patrice is manager. He used to manage Roche Pierre. When the UFC announced they were coming to Canada, at first they said, we're going to Montreal or we're going to Ottawa. Those were the two places that they were supposed to go to. He's from Gatineau, which is basically right next to Ottawa, and it's in Quebec. He would have sold a tremendous amount of tickets in Ottawa or Montreal. So they convinced the UFC to throw this guy in the prelims, not because he's good, not because he deserves to be there, but because he would sell this little fight night for them. They signed the guy. They put him on the card. Boom, boom. Montreal makes the playoffs. Ottawa Senators make the playoffs. UFC can't go to either place. Yes, this card got booked, whatever it was, 6 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago. The reason it didn't have an announced date for a while was they were waiting to see if it looked like Montreal or Ottawa would make the playoffs. Toronto didn't want to pay them a site fee. So where do you go? You have to go and find some other place. Winnipeg says, we'll give you the site fee. Our team blows. We're not going to the playoffs. Why don't you come here? Toronto Maple Leafs also blow. We didn't make the playoffs. I'm not dunking on anybody.
Nobody's as bad as the Vancouver Canucks, though. Leafs are pretty bad this year.
The Leafs, well, I thought they were trying to tank, and then they looked pretty good in their last game of the season. That it was a must-lose game for them, and they decided to show up. All I'm saying is that they didn't really want to go to Winnipeg initially, and Julien Leblanc only got signed because they thought he was going to be able to sell a bunch of tickets in either Montreal or Ottawa. Now he's over in Winnipeg. I didn't really know what to make of it, but he's not good. Now, his biggest problem is that he cannot wrestle. But Robert Valentin, he's been doing judo since he's 7 years old, but it doesn't really appear that he's much of a wrestler himself. It's a little bit hard to say, though, because Ryan Loder's a two-time D1 All-American and Torrance Finney's a former state champ. Those guys can wrestle. Atiba Gauthier has the death touch. So everybody he's fought, he's not looked good against, but they've all had some like big X factor to their game. Julien, his cardio's not.
You gotta go back to the Ultimate Fighter house where he actually had some success against guys that I think are more on Julien Leblanc's level. And he was ripping through guys in the house.
He knocked out Giannis Bakhtar, and Bakhtar was on record being like, I've never been knocked out in my life. I cannot be knocked out. Robert Valentin knocked him out in 20 seconds. Bakhtar pulled a knife on him in the house afterwards, being like, you knocked me out. I kill you. It was like, oh my God. That guy never been knocked out. He flatlined him. Paddy McCrory, not good, not bad. He got the little armbar win. His thing is he spent time in Switzerland. He spent time in Germany. He's lived and trained in Thailand for 3 years. He's moved around and he's got a lot of different looks. He can strike a little. He's not a great striker. He can wrestle a little bit. Not a great wrestler. That's more so judo than wrestling, but grappling. He's got a little bit of jiu-jitsu. It's just not great. It's that, he's not advanced in any one place, whereas Julien Leblanc's really not advanced in any one place either. When Julien Leblanc fought Damian Lapalus, he lost to him at 170 pounds. His last fight against Ryan Rahovich was a catchweight of 180. He's not even a real middleweight, to be honest with you. And now he's jumping in there against Robert Valentin, who's kind of a thick dude who's definitely not making 170 anytime soon. I would say there's a size advantage for Robert Valentin. There's, enough advantages that he keeps his fight, heading in his direction. The biggest thing is I ain't betting no money on Julien Leblanc personally because it's not something that I would ever do. I will give Leblanc, his cardio is not terrible. His durability is not terrible. And he's got some okay kicks. He'll kick lots to the body. His boxing's horrendous, but he'll throw a lot of, body kick, leg kick, body kick, leg kick. So maybe he can outlast Robert Valentin. Maybe he can land some more kicks and then rely on a biased judges to give him the fight. But especially when you could get Valentin at plus money, it was like, that's a no-brainer. And now that he's like a slight favorite, I still think he wins, but it may go to decision, and then you're going to have to rely on the judges getting this one right. If you can find a fight as a split decision prop, that looks good too, because one judge may give it to Leblanc, 2 judges may give it to Leblanc, but 3 people in their right state of mind aren't giving him the fight. He's just not good. He should not be here. A 6-9 Ryan Rahovich to get here is laughable. He's 34 years old. He's not a prospect. If he happens to win this fight, mark my words, he will never win another fight in the UFC. Mark my words. And I don't even think he wins this one. So that's it's going to be a Robert Valentin play on my end, just out of clear principle.
Yeah, Valentin flipped to being the fave about 3 days ago. So on April 12th, that's when it opened, weeks ago, but it's just like those numbers, those early openers, they move so fast. Like,
yeah.
There's a handful of people who have Valentin plus 210. And that was like over a week. When was that? April 3rd. So we're talking almost 2 weeks ago. It was probably not there for much more than 5 minutes, to be perfectly honest. That's how those things work. There are people, maybe they got like AI, or they got some sort of like robot or something. Like they know when these numbers drop. I never really know when these drop. And then you'll see like fightodds.io, like their Twitter account will like post the openers, and it's just like, oh, I'm gonna jump in on that, and it's just like it's already steamed. You know what I mean? Like you have to be on Bet Online at the time that they drop to even have a chance.
Refresh.
Like that happened a bunch with the when we were doing in the Discord. Road to UFC. It's like if you were there when they were dropping something, like there were some crazy numbers. If you had already done your tape and were waiting for those numbers to release, but it's like there was also a lot of competition. Like you had to like on that site, there's a little tab of like accept any odds or don't accept odds changes. So you had to click that because like you may click something that says like plus 300 and then it's just like minus 110. Like it just moved so fast that you had to be kind of mindful of that. I have Robert Valentin minus 136. I played it. There's no particular fight on this card. There's no real particular play this week that I'm like so like they're all kind of on the same level. There's no like there's no play that I'm like staking my claim to that I'm just gonna tie everything to this. It's a lot of a little bit more of a grindy week from my perspective. But yeah, if Valentin doesn't win this one, like one, he's cut, but like, yeah, this is the spot. I watched tape on Julien Leblanc and I wasn't very impressed. And on top of that, yeah, that last fight against the guy who's like 6-9, it was just like he's getting taken down, he's getting held, controlled. Nothing
He's
about
awful.
it led me to believe that this guy belongs necessarily at this level. That doesn't mean that he can't win. Valentin's 0-3 in the UFC for a reason, but I saw a guy who's long, but not really carrying crazy muscle. He doesn't look very, very strong. Valentin's gonna have a big strength advantage over him. So how does that play out? I guess time will tell. But yeah, Valentin's the side for me, and I agree with the line movement. Where does that leave us? Like, how far does this line go? Is there value at minus 150? He's still the side for me, but I mean, I wouldn't play Robert Valentin at minus 200 if that makes any sense. Yeah, we'll see where it kind of goes. I have no idea where these lines move over the course of the week. I got minus 136. I'm not clamoring to add more right now. Probably something I could just do live when I see what it actually looks like when these two guys are in the case together.
Yeah, I wouldn't pay Robert Valentin at minus 200, but I still wouldn't play Julien Leblanc plus 160. I'd have to have plus 500. No, I'd have to have plus 600 on Julien Leblanc to put $1 on it. I am not betting that guy. No way.
Okay. That makes me feel maybe
I see last night though was one of Clint's picks of the week, and I was like, if the Clint curse is on, then this will be the fight that goes for it. But also, Clint's, not a fool. He obviously saw something he likes. And I think part of it's that Robert Valentin is 0-3, as you mentioned, and maybe he doesn't have the most confidence. But to me, the UFC says, hey, it's the finals of the Ultimate Fighter, and you come up short. Your first fight, they gave him Torrance Finney, who shot 30 takedowns. And I don't know why it was a split decision, but one judge gave it to him based on nothing happens. You got held against the cage. Your next fight, they give you a super prospect in Atiba Gauthier. I think they like this guy. He was on the Ultimate Fighter. He's a nice guy. He's cordial. He finished second. We've given him 2 tough fights. Let's give him an easy bounce back win. Well, according to Topology, he's the number 67th ranked UFC middleweight, right? Not in the world. Of the 67 UFC middleweights, Valentin is all the way at the bottom. And yet, Julien Leblanc is most definitely below that. The other 67 guys ahead of him would absolutely wipe this guy up. He could go down to 170 and get beat by all the 170s on the roster too. So I can't. It's a fight. Anything can happen. It's in Canada. If he keeps it close, he could squeak it out. It's never impossible. All right, it's not for me, man. Not for me. Although he talked himself into this. He's telling everybody how he can win a UFC title. So, go prove it against Robert Valentin, bud.
I don't know all these background things. I just watched tape on LeBlanc, and I'm like, this doesn't seem like some sort of high-level guy. And then, yeah, like Valentin's actual UFC fights, it's like the Loader one pretty bad, but Loader's a great wrestler. I didn't really see that in LeBlanc's game. You had to go back to, his, the Ultimate Fighter house. And it's just like, okay, this guy is a much better athlete than Julien Leblanc. If he's ever going to win a fight, this is it. Robert Valentin is almost certainly cut if he loses to Julien Leblanc.
100%. Not only that, he's going to go back to a different job. He's battled depression in the past. He mentioned after his loss on the Ultimate Fighter against Ryan Loader, he's like, couldn't get out of bed for a month and didn't want to go to the gym. And my friends had to pull me out and get me back up. And I think the UFC's like, you know what, this guy could use a confidence boost. And boy, oh boy, do we got one for you. Let's bring in this bag of milk and let him to go get that first win in the UFC. And then what's he going to achieve after that? Probably not much, but let's get him a win in the UFC. And we got just the guy for it.
All right. We got Tanner Boser taking on Gokhan Saricam at heavyweight. Saricam, a minus 158 favorite. Come back on Boser plus 138. Bill Boser obviously had his little run in the UFC and then ended that run in the UFC at light heavyweight. Got absolutely sparked by Ian Cutelaba. That was not a great one to watch back. And you kind of thought that was a guy that, like, this move to 118, he's always been really small at heavyweight. Thought maybe that this was actually a really good direction for his career, but turned out to be pretty poor. Maybe his durability got compromised a little bit cutting all that weight. I don't know. My struggle here is that Boser's never been a great wrestler. And, Saricam in his fights in, Bellator, guy comes in at like 247, 250. It's a lot of muscle. I hate to say it, but I feel like I'm, sorry to Boye from the Discord there. I know that Boser's his boy, but I'm struggling to not pick Gokhan Saricam in this fight. I'm not invested in this fight yet, but I just think that Saricam should be able to get the takedowns, should be able to control. Boser's game just hasn't really translated to the UFC level. Not that Saricam's some world beater, but he's not priced as a world beater. It's, a 60-40 fight per the odds. I just think the size is going to matter here. Your thoughts?
Yeah, exact same thing. When you look at Boser historically, is that he's always struggled against these wrestlers. And wrestlers is a very loose term, considering Rodrigo Nascimento was able to beat him. It's not, not the best look going. Even his fight with Andrei Arlovsky, I'm sure he's fighting a legend and he respects him, but you're getting beat by Andrei Arlovsky in a pure striking battle. It wasn't a great look. Ilir Latifi's a former, should have been middleweight, but fought at 205. He was able to easily take you down. And then that Rodrigo Nascimento one was a real nail in the coffin for me, because Nascimento ended up getting cut. He's 3-4 in smaller promotions since his UFC release. Sorry, since his fight with Tanner Boser. He's just not good. You mentioned the move to 205 with Ion Cutelaba, which he lost. He actually did fight at 205 a second time in the UFC against Alexa Kamor in a fight that he won. And then this guy, The Rock, remember The Rock had shoes he was giving everybody?
Yeah.
The Rock gave him a set of shoes, and he did an interview where he's like, I ain't wearing those crappy shoes. They're not paying me no money, and they're low quality, and the UFC cut him because he smack talked The Rock's shoe. So then after that, he was like, well, I was getting paid $60,000 in the UFC. So I'm not fighting for anything less than $60,000, and not one single promotion called him. That's a lie. The GFL called him, and he signed a contract with the GFL. Thought he was going to get one hell of a bag. And then, the GFL never happened. So he's not fought. He fought Vinicius Moreira. But outside of that, I mean, since his
fight too, and
we're gonna get to that one in a
like
second.
Dead on arrival, my God,
we're gonna get to that one. So he beats Alexa Kamor. He smack talks The Rock shoes. He got cut. That was 3 years ago. He's fought one time in 3 years. Now, promoters have offered him fights. He will not take the fights because he says he wants to get paid $60,000. Otherwise, it's not worth his time. He coaches at a gym. He trains with some guys. Fighting's not necessarily his passion anymore. He does the play-by-play or color commentary with Unified MMA. He's doing some commentary. He's doing some coaching. He's doing some commentary. I'll fight if the price is right, but I'm not looking to go and build myself back up and jump into a major promotion. So he gets Vinicius Moreira. Okay, so Vinicius Moreira is 0-4 in the UFC. Paul and I used to just have one heck of a time talking about Vinicius Moreira because he's the biggest meme fighter you've ever seen. Dude not only went 0-4 in the UFC, he got finished in all 4 fights. And I mean, he got TKO'd by Ike Villanueva in the UFC. So that's about as bad as you're possibly going to get. Also, he's not a heavyweight. And so, guy was losing to Paul Craig and Eric Anders.
Yeah, he looks fat in that fight. Yeah, UAE Warriors.
Shows up fat. He's got a glass chin. He's fat. He's fighting 2 weight classes up, and he's just not good. And he takes Boser down in the first round and briefly mounts him in the first round. Then in the second round, he's tired. And then in the third round, he quite literally retires in the beginning of the round being like, nah, I'm done. So Boser's fought once in the last 3 years against a former middleweight with 0 durability, still managed to get taken down, briefly got mounted, gets back up, has the guy quit in the third round. Now you're going to jump into the UFC and make your triumphant return. I don't know. Now, Gokhan Saricam, like you mentioned, is the guy's not really looking to wrestle first, is he came in as a Turkish striker. He's actually half Belgium, half Turkish. Prefers to strike a little bit. And then he's losing these fights getting taken down, right? Maori ends up submitting with the Kimura, more so the Oleg Popov fight. Popov just takes him down at will. So after that, he decided, you know what? I'm going to start wrestling. And most notably, if you rewatch his fight with Daniel James, it's a 30-27 across the board, and wrestling is on point. Back him up to the cage, drop levels, pull the hips out. Boom. Knee tap, double leg, over and over on repeat. Daniel James is a big guy who hits incredibly hard.
Well, his 2 losses are against Mowry, who's like known for being one of the better wrestlers, at least during that era. Was like one of the prospects out of Florida that you'd hear about him being like a beast in the training room. And Popov's a legitimate wrestler and a heavyweight. So those fights, he got exploited in those departments. But
Steve Mowry's 6'8", and Oleg Popov is a big old thick Russian guy. So it happens. But wins over Kirill Zheleznyakova, which is Baby Fedor, Saeed Salman, a split decision, Daniel James, like those are all better guys than Boser as far as I'm concerned. And then the Boser having fought once in 3 years, and now he's back up at heavyweight and all this and that and this and that. But I got a narrative for you too, Paul. We talked about the style clash. Wrestling favors Saricam. We talked about the inactivity from Boser. We talked about maybe the last fight with Moreira not being so good. Here's a theory for you. Gokhan Saricam is managed by Ali Abdelaziz. He's a dominance MMA guy. And they're friends. They're close personal friends as well. Dinners together. And you'll see pictures of them together. Boser doesn't really have an agent, which is why he had fought one time in 3 years and is trying to sign with the GFL, right? Ali calls Boser and says, let me sign you to dominance. I can guarantee you I can get you back to the UFC. So Boser says, oh man, I'm in. And you know what? Ali gets him right back into the UFC to take on Gokhan Saricam, his other client. So I think they see something in this fight they like. And I think it's the wrestling. And I'm going to go with that too. So I got Saricam.
Be curious. I don't even know if I have access to it, but for the people who do, I'll just mention it. I would be curious if a lot of people like these, these props, like these takedown props and stuff like that. And like laddering takedowns. No idea what it's going to be set at. I don't even really necessarily have the books that will offer those props, but a lot of the American legals have them. A Saricam takedown ladder could be interesting.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I have no idea what's priced if it's too short. I don't know, but that would be something I'd be on the lookout if I had access to that type of stuff. Melissa the Scare Croden takes on Dariya. Zheleznyakova minus 150 for Croden. The comeback on Dariya plus 133. Your thoughts?
That's another fight that's really hard to get a beat on, being that both girls kind of mirror image each other. When you look at Croden, it's like she's definitely a striker first, but she's pretty big, man. She got some good size for the division. And when I mean good size for the division, she's 5'9" with a 68-inch reach. Dariya, meanwhile, is a punching bag, 5'9", the 68-inch reach. They're both strikers. They're both the same size. They both lean a little too much on that size and physicality against smaller opponents. But against each other, it's just going to be rock'em sock'em robots. The problem with Dariya is that she tends to bleed in all of her fights. Her nose will get leaking. She wears a lot of swelling around both eyes. I could see that this is probably just going to be tit for tat punching standing, and that maybe she'll be wearing the more visible damage, which will lean these rounds towards Melissa Croden. But otherwise, I think that it's going to be a pretty close and competitive fight. Croden's moved her training camp down to Extreme Couture, so she's been down there. Dariya has actually moved down to Las Vegas as well, splitting time at the UFC PI. And it's not Syndicate or Extreme Couture, but she's getting some rounds in with a smaller gym in Vegas that's privatized training. She's doing everything right, I'm sure, but she's a defensive liability. She just doesn't keep her hands up, and she largely be walking into fights over and over again. When you look at her fight with Malott Rendon, she got taken down 3 times, but gets back up. Against Eileen Perez, gives the 2 takedowns and then gets submitted. And then against Melissa Mullins, it was a rematch of a fight from Aries, Aries Fighting Championship from France. They run it back. Mullins won the first fight. And in this one, Dariya got taken down 3 times, but she gets back up. And then she just gets, not to brawling, it's like technical brawling. Her hands are low. She invites you to hit her. You can hit her all day long. Is that she returns fire. Because she's got that physicality and that size, she's largely the fighter coming forward. Croden, meanwhile, seems to be maybe a little more refined, but not quite the same amount of output. Her fight with Tenera Lisboa, I thought she lost the first round pretty handily, got taken down. It was close. I shouldn't say handily, but close first round. Second round, she gets the knockdown, and that's where you start to see the confidence build. That last fight with Luana Santos was problematic because she got taken down 3 times, and it's pretty much all head and arm throws. It's like head and arm throw, head and arm throw, head and arm throw. Ability to get back up, not really there. Looked a little bit slow, looked a little bit sluggish. And so her going down to Extreme Couture, I think will help her. But her lead training partner for this camp has been Hailey Cowan, who just looked awful 2 weeks ago. So at what level are either girl? Not the highest level. And how do they kind of stylistically, what's the clash here? It's striker versus striker. Both of them actually have bled in a number of fights, just visible damage. They both put up about the same amount of output. I think that Dariya is slightly a little more offensive. She hits a little bit harder and she throws a little bit more. And so I would slightly lean there. But Croden has the ability to mix in some takedowns. And so I feel like because it's super close, mixing in a few takedowns and having the crowd behind you should go a long way. She's from Alberta, not Winnipeg, or not Manitoba. But I mean, again, Canada's Canada. She's going to have a lot of fans and support. She's going to have friends and family together to make the trek down there. Tickets are like 30% sold out. So it's basically going to be like fighting in the Apex. And you're going to hear the cheering. And the cheering's going to be for Croden. And when you see that, the blood on Dariya's face and maybe a takedown or two, it's going to be enough to swing these rounds. So I got Croden, but it's another fight that I would not be surprised to hear Judge 1 scores it, Judge 2 scores it, and then the Judge 3 is the deciding factor because it'd be close, it'd be competitive, it's going to decision, and I just feel like Croden's going to squeak it out. So I'm going to play her, but because she's the favorite, she's like minus 160. I don't know. She was a little higher. I feel like maybe a few bucks are coming in the other side. I get it. Maybe you want to chalk this one as a dog or pass. If this fight was taking place in Las Vegas or in Chicago or in Indiana, maybe I would take the dog or pass. But in Canada, yeah, that split's going to go towards the Canadian, I feel. And I just feel like Croden maybe edges it. So I don't have any great theory here. I think it's going to be close, competitive, and that Croden gets her hand raised at the end of it.
Close, competitive, tit for tat, stand-up affair likely between the two of them. When Dariya's been exploited, it's usually been because people take her down and absolutely, like Melissa Mullins absolutely just ran through her, but it's like it really came down to the grappling. I haven't seen that level of grappling from Croden, so yeah, I kind of agree. I think it's like a close, contentious, greasy women's decision, big time splitty possibilities. Fight ends in split decision plus 500. Croden by split or majority decision plus 950. A little bit of, you smell that? Little poutine for Croden. Close, contentious decision in front of the Canadian faithful. Moving on down, we got another chick fight. Your baby. Your former baby. Maybe she's not your baby this week.
Yes. Oh, JJ, my baby.
JJ Aldrich taking on Jamey-Lyn Horth. Aldrich plus 140. And Horth face is the minus 160 favorite. Your thoughts?
Yeah, Jamey-Lyn Horth is just very strong, very physical. And I think, again, the last fight, both girls bring that physicality, but they're fighting each other, right? Well, in this case, Jamey-Lyn Horth is going to be able to use that size and physicality to, I think, break down JJ Aldrich. One thing about her is that she does come from a kickboxing base. She was undefeated when she came to the UFC and with trouble finding competition in Canada. But when I saw her make her debut against Hailey Cowan, she looked real slow, and got the win. And then against Veronica Hardy's fast, being that she's largely undersized. And again, very slow. Her fight with Ivana Petrovic, she kicked 2 takedowns, head and arm throws, gave up 2 takedowns in that fight, looked bad, ends up getting a split decision win over Ivana Petrovic. Like none of this looked good. Then Miranda Maverick takes her down twice, gives her another loss. She's effectively 2-2 in the UFC. She's a little bit older. She's making no adjustments, and she's not getting better athletically, clearly. That, what is she reduced to? Being strong and being rugged. And that's exactly what she's done in her last 2 fights. Vanessa Demopoulos is not particularly fast, and so she just muscles her around. Vanessa's too small. In fact, Demopoulos is moving up a weight class. And you can see it right away. It's like, okay, well, Vanessa's a BJJ black belt with bad wrestling, up a weight class. You're not bulldozing over Jamey-Lyn Horth. No way.
Vanessa's really small, though.
Especially when you consider she's coming up a weight class.
5'2", 59-inch reach. She's giving up a
ton of size. So Horth looks good in that fight. She just stonewalls her and beats her up in all the exchanges. And then her last fight against Teresa Bleda, I mean, the striking looked good. Power's there. Where she struggles is if you're fleet-footed and quick and able to stick to a 15-minute long game plan and don't mind getting grinded up against the cage every now and again. That's where JJ really falters. When you talk about fleet-footed and mobile, JJ Aldrich got educated jab, southpaw stance, longtime training partner Rose Namajunas. She's a veteran. She's got all, but JJ's a mental case, right? When JJ's confident, the strikes are flowing. She's moving her feet. She's keeping focus. When JJ starts getting hit, when JJ gets dragged into a firefight, JJ starts to crumple a little bit. Now, I'm not going to get into her personal history, tumultuous relationship with her mother. I really feel like when she starts to get self-doubt, when the self-doubt creeps inside of her, it's something she's dealt with her entire life, not just career. And that's where she starts to fall apart. And Jamey-Lyn Horth is someone that you're going to have to stick to the game plan for the 15 minutes because it's all stick and move. It's all stick and move. She's going to hit you. She's going to grab a hold of you. She's going to land some good shots. The crowd's going to boo you a little bit. The crowd's going to cheer her a little bit. All this mental anxiety is going to come in at some point. And are you the type of character that's going to be overcoming it? I'm not sure I see it with old JJ Aldrich. She did look pretty good her last fight with Andrea Lee, but Andrea Lee was a retirement fight, and she hadn't won a fight in quite some time. It's more so all the other ones, right? Veronica Hardy gets her, edges her out. Montana De La Rosa nearly beat her. Ariana Lipsky beat her. Erin Blanchfield, she looked really good in the first round. She got takedowns over Blanchfield. She's outstriking Blanchfield. She's stuffing takedowns. Second round is an absolute epic collapse, and ends up getting caught in the guillotine choke. It's like those moments are there. At her best, she's got a win over Julian Robertson. She's got the win over Andrea Lee, didn't age too well just because end of her career. But, at her best, she's a serviceable point-style fighter. But she doesn't really, outside of Na Liang, she's had 7 decision wins in the UFC. Like, she is a decision fighter that's not even particularly high volume. So against Horth, I just feel like it's not going to be one-way traffic, but she'll be landing some jabs. She'll be moving. Horth's eventually going to get a read on the timing and the distance. And when that happens, she's going to start cornering her off, landing some bigger shots. If she's tired of chasing her, she can mix in the takedowns. And whereas JJ Aldrich's takedown defense is not necessarily bad, Horth is just physically strong. I think she'll be able to muscle her down. If Aldrich decides to take Horth down, be really smart. I think that's actually good play. But again, she's the only person she's taken down in the last 4 years. She's only taken down one opponent, and it was her last fight against Andrea Lee. So is she all of a sudden a wrestler? You've been going from point style sparring for the last number of years, and now all of a sudden you want to mix that in. Like, I don't know that it's her. You can avoid this thing. The line's actually fairly wide on Jamey-Lyn Horth, but there's not enough plus money to back up my baby JJ Aldrich here. So I actually just got to take Horth to outmuscle her, get her up against the cage, work her a little bit, land the bigger, more impactful blows. And again, it's like this girl's not super high volume. So if she's keeping it close, striking-wise, and you're landing the bigger shots in Canada where you're getting the pop, that'll be what's going to persuade the judges. So don't get overly invested in this one, but it's going to be Horth for me.
Both of these girls are just historically just in pretty close nip and tuck type of fights. I understand the concept of, home cooking, yada, yada, yada. I mean, at plus 140, it's very CF'd up for me. I think it's probably, this goes the full 15 minutes, a very, very close fight. I'd rather have the plus money on Aldrich, who has frankly fought way, way more competition, but they've equally faltered against the same level of competition. The main person in that clearly being Hardy's wife. What's her name again?
Veronica Macedo.
Veronica Macedo Hardy. They both those are similar type of mirror type of performances. Both of them slightly just out edge, not able to get wrestling going, not really able to track down Macedo. So they're kind of on the same level, and that's why for me, plus 140 Aldrich is the side. Not going to let it ruin my week, but she's on the card. We got Allan Nascimento taking on Mitch Raposo. Nascimento minus 185 favorite. The comeback on Raposo is plus 160. Nascimento, I mean, if Nascimento can get this fight to the mat, I mean, his submission skills are awesome. But time and time again, we see not a great offensive wrestler. Raposo has made big improvements in that. Raposo, probably the cleaner kickboxer. Can he win minutes? but it really only takes like not even a takedown, but just like Nascimento getting to the back, grabbing a hold of him, and then you're probably in a whole world of hurt. I know like Raposo is probably a pretty popular dog pick this week, and that market has moved quite a lot. Plus 265 this whole week. It just keeps kind of going. At this stage in the game, I'm not pulling the trigger on Raposo because I fear Nascimento's grappling so much. I don't really want to get my hand caught in the cookie jar. I haven't looked at props yet. Nascimento, even though low volume, striking is kind of a work in progress. He just has that X factor that would scare me off of taking a shot on the underdog. So Nascimento's the pick for me. What about you?
Yeah, I actually did take Mitch Raposo. I feel like that when you talk about style clashes, Mitch has the style to present Nascimento a ton of problems. You mentioned it is BJJ. Oh man, Nascimento's got some really slick ground game, good submissions, very opportunistic, can reverse if he's taken down, very good off his back. But that's about it. His offensive wrestling is like almost nearly non-existent. His striking is all predicated on kicks. Body kick, leg kick, body kick, leg kick, leg kick, leg kick, body kick. He doesn't throw his hands. He did clip Cody Jourdain with a wonky little counter left hook in his last fight, which caused a panic shot into the anaconda. But for the most part, this guy really doesn't have much technical boxing. He does not work behind a jab. He's a 34-year-old flyweight who's nearly a minus 300 favorite. You don't want to be going down that road. He's only
minus
fought
180.
It's dropping. It's dropping.
It's dropped a ton.
Yeah, it's dropping huge, and I'm with it. I'm on the other side on this one. When you look at that, he's only fought 2 wrestlers in the UFC, 2 guys that were wrestling base. It was Tagir Ulanbekov, he wasn't able to take him down, and then Cody Jourdain in his last fight, who he wasn't able to take down. Mitch Raposo is a former state champion wrestler out of Massachusetts, and he's also a BJJ black belt himself. Not to the level of a Nascimento, not by a long shot, but he's not incompetent on the ground. He's a really good athlete. He's only 27 years old. He's going to be infinitely faster. He's 7 years younger. He's got enough takedown defense to keep this fight standing. And then when the fight is standing, he's high ring IQ guy. He's not high volume, which I hate. I like high volume guys. And if you're not high volume, you got to have power. Raposo doesn't really have big power, and he doesn't really have high volume, but he's got high ring IQ, where it's like he's only looking to land that big right hand that steals the moment. And then after that, he's avoiding, he's setting traps, he's moving his feet, he's making himself an elusive target so that when he lands one big right hand, if you don't land one big shot back, well, then what was the big shot of the round? His. And he wins the round. And so, is it playing it safe? I think it's just playing it smart. His first couple fights in the UFC, you can be like, oh, man, it doesn't look that good. Okay, well, fair. But, realistically, he fights Andre Lima in his debut. And Andre Lima missed... Sorry, this is even better. He fought Jake Hadley on the Contender Series. Jake Hadley missed weight for that fight by 5 pounds. Then he fought Andre Lima in his debut. Andre Lima weighed 130 pounds. He missed weight by 5 pounds. His last fight against Azat Maxim, the guy missed weight by 4 pounds. He came in at 129.7. He's just been showing up and fighting guys that are missing weight by damn near 5 pounds over and over again.
Making excuses.
Well, it's just easy to say, oh, the guy's no good, or it's a split decision against Andre Lima, who's undefeated in the UFC. It's a split decision against Sumaderji. I don't know how, man. I don't know how. But Sumaderji's good. And then Azat Maxim, he's a plus 395 betting underdog against Maxim, and he beats him. So he knows how to score as the underdog. He mostly always fights as the underdog. His last 3 fights, 2 of them are split decisions, and then one of them's a big dog hit. Athletically, he's a lot faster. He's got better footwork. Striking-wise, it's a little low volume, but he's taking on Nascimento, who's got no volume. Grappling-wise, you don't want to end up with Nascimento on top of you. Well, that's okay, because he probably won't take you down. So it's all about just keeping him moving, move around. This guy stands very upright. And I think that's where Raposo is going to have his success. Dart into the pocket, hit him with the overhand, dart out. He's Tyson Chartier trained. The guy that produced Calvin Kattar and Rob Font and Chris Moutinho. Let's just disregard that last one.
Yeah, all those other guys.
Those other guys are good strikers.
Volume, like their style is not all that similar.
Yeah, I understand.
Kattar, crazy volume.
Certainly Rob Font.
Rob Font, crazy volume. Both of them can't really wrestle. Raposo seems to have the wrestling, but he doesn't have
Well, right, but
striking volume out of those other
Mitch
guys.
Raposo is 5'5" with a 64-inch reach, right? So Andre Lima is a Brazilian kickboxing champion, and Sumiderji is the biggest guy in the division and a southpaw with a 72-inch reach or something.
I think Rob Font would have been a nice little training partner.
Well,
to
yeah,
get
but
you ready for that
the
fight.
game plan's not strike with these guys; it's take them
The
down.
game plan was to take down Sumider. I mean, it
Yeah, he got
worked out
6
exactly
takedowns.
in his favor. He just threw 9 strikes over the course of 15 minutes.
Right, but he got 6 takedowns on 19
He
attempts.
did nothing with them.
That's fair. It's high work rate. Allan Nascimento, do you want to shoot 19 takedowns on him?
You
No,
probably wanna
because he's
shoot
going to
no
grab a hold of
takedowns.
your neck. Right, but land a couple right hands, land a couple leg kicks. This guy is all kick, or offense is all kicks. So he's eventually going to throw a kick. You're going to catch it. When you catch it, Cody Jourdain did the same thing in the first round. Nascimento throws a kick, he catches his ankle, and then just dumps him to the ground. I don't have to follow you to the ground, but visually it looks pretty bad. I catch the kick and dumped you on your head, and now you get back up. Jourdain wins the first round. Jourdain's winning the second round until he runs out of fuel.
That's what Jourdain does.
Yeah, he's 1-7 in his last 8 fights because that's what he does.
But
Jourdain, when a guy doesn't
Jourdain's
fall
record
apart,
in round 1 is probably a winning record. He's a round 1 winner. He just gasses every second round.
he's a round 1. Yeah, no, he's a round 1 winner. Watch Allan Nascimento versus Jafel Filo, right? So Allan Nascimento is so good on the ground. Okay, well, the first round he gets taken down twice. He gets full mounted. He gets beat up from mount. He gets caught in a guillotine choke. The round ends. The second round, Jafel Filo is absolutely gassed. Jafel Filo still takes him down, goes for a rear naked choke, too high on the back, slips off the top. Third round, goes for the takedown, goes for the rear naked choke, falls off the back. Nascimento literally just waited for this guy to fall, get on top of him, hold him down. That's why he landed 12 significant strikes in 15 minutes. So he just waits for you to make a mistake because he doesn't offensively have anything to offer. Well, Mitch fights a very tentative game where he tries to minimize the amount of mistakes he makes, and that's going to end up being ultra effective here. So yeah, it's flyweight, and the other guy's 34 years old. I'm not betting him as a betting favorite. I'm taking Mitch Raposo. Should we bet on this one? You give me 2-1 or what?
2-1? No, that's not what.
Would you take it for 1-1? Would you take it straight up? 50?
Oh yeah, I'll take it straight up for sure.
You got yourself a deal. Let's do it.
I was actually going to take more, but we've had.
Well, you took a tall boy. If I win, you down a tall boy.
It's too late. We already said
fine.
1 for 1.
I did. It's a deal.
What I was actually going to give you.
I don't go back on
you
deals.
spoke too soon.
Yeah, you're right.
I will take any little edge I can get on you on this one. I think Allan Nascimento is going to sub his ass. Moving on down, we got a fake Russian in this next one, Cody. John Castaneda taking on Mark Vologdin. Vologdin had a hell of a fight on the Contender Series. It was fun. But he got taken down 3 times. He got hit like 150 times. He seems very undersized. I believe this fight's at bantamweight, right?
I don't know why he's not trying 125.
He's 5'3". He's got a lot of muscle mass. Like the kid looks jacked. Don't get me wrong, but 5'3", 65-inch reach. He's going to be giving up reach to a whole bunch of guys. He's definitely going to be shorter than a lot of guys. And that fight was like fight of the year for Contender Series last year. Absolute war, and hence why, off of a loss on Contender Series, why Vologdin ends up in this spot. But 1, level of competition hasn't been all that great. 2, Castaneda has shown us in some of these fights. 1, the volume can be pretty good from him, and he's shown us a bit of a wrestling ability, taking down Kyung Ho Kang 3 times, taking down Muin Gafarov and controlling. He's got multiple paths to win this fight. I'm surprised that Castaneda is not a bigger favorite in this fight, to be perfectly honest. Castaneda minus 125 seems almost too easy. Are we missing something here? Because the market's not really moving that much, but I don't really understand the case for Vologdin based off of what I've seen. Your thoughts here?
I don't understand the matchmaking on this fight at all. So you got a Mark Vologdin, and yeah, he's 25 as opposed to 34 for Sexy Mexi John Castaneda. And, the 9 years, maybe that's what's causing people to think that he's got some abundance of chance. Yeah, I don't understand the matchmaking here. You got a guy that lost on the Contender Series. He should go down to 125, but at 135, he loses to a I was on that Martin Naletti guy, but he's not exactly a world beater. You lose that fight, you get the contract anyways. Now they say, come to the UFC, and your UFC debut is a 8-fight UFC veteran who's 9 years older than you, who's quite literally just lost a split decision to the then ranked number 14 guy in the world against Chris Gutierrez on a split decision. You just lost a split against a top 15 ranked guy, and now you're fighting a guy that lost his fight in the Contender Series and he's making his UFC debut. Why? Well, whatever. It's just the fight that they're throwing him in there with. And so being 9 years older is not necessarily a good thing. And being a little bit 30-fight veteran and possibly near the tail end of your career, like none of that's inspiring. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, veteran savvy does count for something. And Castaneda's got that in abundance. You actually made the exact point I want to make myself, which is Castaneda's shown you a little bit of everything. The 111 significant strikes landing against Mr. Perfect, Kyung Ho Kang, that was volume. The 3 takedowns against Muin Gafarov, that's wrestling. He's only knocked out one opponent in the UFC, being a first-round knockout over Eddie Wineland. But he knocked down Wily Cat Daniel Santos. He knocked down, what was his other one? Wily Cat Santos. He knocked down Miles John.
Wineland was cool.
He knocked down Muin Gafarov. He's knocked down 4 opponents in the UFC. Wineland doesn't got a chin no more, so he get knocked out. Yeah. But the other 3 guys, it's like he's got more than enough pop in some of those shots. I rewatched the Muin Gafarov fight and the Miles John fights. Like, he's stinging them standing. And in the Johns case, in the 3rd round, he chokes Johns out. So he's possible. He's capable of volume. He's capable of power. He's capable of wrestling. He's capable of cardio, pushing you to a 3rd round and then grabbing a submission win on top of it. Vologden looked very one-dimensional. Because I had bet against him on the Contender Series and it was a wild fight. The whole time I'm like, but rewatching it after the fact with no stakes on it, he 100% loses. He loses all 3 rounds. The difference is that he's getting shelled up, and he'll land one good shot. And the one good shot looked good. But by the numbers, he got outstruck for the totals. Well, significant strikes, he got outlanded in every round. But in the 2nd round in particular, he got hit with 91 significant strikes in the 2nd round alone. That's more damage than most guys will take in an entire fight. We outline guys like Jai Herbert who ain't landed no 91 significant strikes ever. And yet that's what you got hit with in one single round. The 3rd round, he showed a lot of heart. He had some total strikes in that round. But in the 3rd round, he gave up 2 takedowns and got controlled for 2.5 minutes. I don't think his wrestling is very good. His striking defense is non-existent. The guy is just tough. He's super tough. He's got a lot of heart. He's got some durability, and he's willing to throw hands. If you want to give him a guy that just wants to stay and play punchy-kicky, then yeah, he's going to have a shot. But again, against Castaneda, you got a guy here with 21 pro wins. He's got 8 fights in the UFC. He's fought and beaten guys like Muin Gafarov and Kyung Ho Kang. I think he can take you down. I think he can land shots. I don't want to get him to a Rock'em Sock'em Robots type affair. I don't want him to be chasing some $50,000 bonus. I don't want him to go crazy in that sense. But it's the 2nd fight of the worst card in UFC history in an arena that's 30% sold out. Ain't not going to be nobody there to cheer you on. So just take your time. See this guy who's 5'3". You can see the punches coming from a mile out. Just mind your P's and Q's. Take him down. Ride him, land some good shots, secure the victory. I feel like it's a fight. Nothing's ever easy, but I do agree with all your points. John Castaneda is the play for me as well.
And finally, we got Jamie Siraj taking on John Yanis. I believe I'm not entirely sure when this fight was booked. I think it was relatively short notice. Siraj he's been struggling. I mean, DSBV in the Bookie Beatdown Discord, like, he is mortified that the guy who Diego Brandao knocked his head clean off is getting a shot. And they apparently didn't let Diego into the Ultimate Fighter because he's too old or something like that.
I mean, he's already won the Ultimate Fighter.
I know.
So what would be the point of putting on
Diego on one of these cards? Diego has been doing good work over stateside. We don't want him to go over to Russia. We don't want him to let Diego put him on a Fight Night Vegas card. You know, Diego's going to show up. He's going to put on a fight. I don't care if he's 38 years old. The guy's earned it. He's earned his way back. My struggle with Jamie Siraj when I watch him fight is, one, durability. Like, durability is a big question mark. There is the knockdown or the knockout by Diego Brandao. Beautiful spinning hook kick or spinning back kick to the head. Like, it could happen to anybody. But like, this fight with Gustavo Arak, Arak's taking down Siraj, particularly early in that fight, and Siraj kind of has to fight his way back in it. Donnie Matos knocks down Siraj in round one. Durability's big time question mark, and he's been a massive favorite on these BFL cards. So like, having any, like, he's like minus 1,000, minus 1,500 in these spots, like on these fight cards. Maybe not the Matos fight last time. I didn't.
No, dude, you're right. He was, and also when he got knocked out by Diego Brandao, he was like a minus 800 favorite in that fight too. So it's what he does. He's got durability issues.
The durability issues make it really hard for me to back. I know. So the problem with John Yanis, former Fury champion, the guy that we've watched fight on a few Sunday cards type of thing, as Fury out of Houston, Texas, likes to do. He's a former champion. He's a little bit undersized. I believe he may have actually fought at 135 before.
He's a 35 champion.
Yeah, his takedown defense isn't great by any stretch of the imagination. Got really good boxing. His hands are good. I don't think he's got crazy power, but like, I don't know if it takes crazy power to hurt Jamie Siraj. The big question is going to be early on here, can he just kind of survive? Because like in John Yanis's fights, in Fury, it's just like over and over, and these are not high level opponents. I mean, the Bashi fight in the UFC, I mean, Bashi looks like a decent young prospect, super strong, super athletic. That's not my biggest concern, that he got absolutely ran through, because that was like a short notice fight, everything like that. Aguirre, it took until round 4. That's how he got the Fury belt. But like, Aguirre is not a great wrestler, but he was able to take him down.
He would have lost that one too.
Exactly. He was able to take him down and get to he gives up his back a whole bunch. So like, I understand why Siraj is the favorite. There is very likely scenario where Siraj is able to take him down and get to the back, because you see it in some of his fights. The other fight with that Jimenez fights, like, he actually gets taken down at one point in that fight too, and that's like against some like 5-3 regional level opponent. So takedown defense and the tendency to give up his back, big time question marks. I wouldn't really blame anybody for taking like a Siraj by sub, but for me, it's just like, for minus 256, minus, maybe it gets bigger. I have no idea what direction it's going to go in. Dog or pass for me. I just don't trust Siraj's chin to be laying chalk with this guy, particularly on the first card of the night, our first fight of the night. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I completely agree. It's like Jamie Siraj is a guy that was on a 9-fight winning streak. He won the Tough Enough title. He beat Nemat Adrishatov, who's pretty good, man, and he TKO'd him in the 5th round. Cardio's there. Even though he's Canadian, he spent a lot of time down at Team Alpha Male in California. He can wrestle. He's got good cardio. He pushes an okay pace. He's got a good back take. He's right there. He wins the Tough Enough title. It's a 9-fight winning streak. He gets Brandao. If he beats Brandao, 10-fight winning streak, defend the title, the UFC said, we'll sign you. You just got to beat Brandao. Big favorite too. And then, oh my God, spinning wheel kick of death, which would not get anybody. So at that time, I'll give him a pass. Give him a pass. Then he ends up on BFL. But Paul mentioned Gustavo Eric. He was actually 2-7 in his last 9 fights going into the fight with Jamie Siraj. Jamie Siraj is a big favorite over him. The first round, Eric, it takes him down 6 times in the first round. He beats his ass, man.
Eric gasses, and that's why he's able to come back.
Boom. The second round, Eric gasses. Donnie Matos floors him with like a short little right hand. And that's not a... See, oftentimes it's a flash knockdown. It's like you hit the deck and you jump right back up. But you see in that one, his arm is stiff and his face is in the canvas. And he wakes back up enough to grab a hold of the single leg and then try to out wrestle him. By the second round, Donnie Matos is gassed. Donnie Matos hadn't fought MMA in 2 years and was doing bare knuckle boxing. Okay. So they were brought in to lose. They're salty, good looking record Brazilians. The motivation there, the physicalities in there, the cardio's not there. And all he did was outlast them. So when this fight got announced, very much so, just like you're saying, Yanis can crack decent. It's not like he's got huge KOs, but you'll watch some of these fights. Dimas Chapa, it's a standing knockout, but like he punches him and the guy's circuit just overloads. The ref has to jump in and stop it because he's like, I don't know what the hell that was, dude. He's got some good power. CJ Jimenez, not great. Nick Aguirre, that was not really a knockout. He just outlasts him. Aguirre's too tired. He eventually topples over from the damage. But, could Yanis knock out Jamie Siraj? I do believe so. It's the takedown defense. And more problematic than the takedown defense, it's that he gives up his back as soon as he gets taken down.
Yeah.
So he's rocking a not great record. He's 9-4 as a pro, but of the 9-4 record, he's been to split decision 4 times. And some of these split decision wins should have gone against him. So he fights Mo Miller. Now, Mo Miller was on the Contender Series. He actually won on the Contender Series, just didn't get the contract. Mo Miller wrestled Division II at Notre Dame College in Ohio. And the first round, he takes him down like nothing, takes his back like nothing, body triangle, easy. Second round, Mo Miller takes him down. He takes his back, easy. The third round, Mo Miller takes him down. The referee stands them up. Mo Miller takes him down again. They give a split decision to John Yanis. Well, it's in Texas. Yanis is from Texas. Mo Miller just wrestled his face off the entire time. And he's from Ohio, so they screwed him. That should have been a loss. Then he beats this Eduardo Alvarado. Tit for tat, two punchers going tit for tat. Alvarado's currently 11-10 as a pro. And he squeaks a split decision against him just a few years ago. Is Gabriel Vanderlei. Gabriel Vanderlei going into that fight was 22 years old, okay? He easily takes him down. As soon as he takes down Yanis, what does Yanis do? He gives up his back. He does it in the first round, does it in the second round. The difference is the second round, he gets caught in the rear naked choke. Not only does he give up the back, but as soon as you put a body triangle on him, he can't get out of it. He couldn't get out of any of Mo Miller's body triangles. He couldn't get out of any Gabriel Vanderlei's body triangles.
It happened against Aguirre.
Nick Aguirre. The first
early in that fight. So like literally he's just fighting hands and accepting position for sure.
As soon as you put the body triangle on him, he just sits there and he holds the hands and he waits. And it's boring, but no referee in the world's going to stand up a fight when you're on a guy's back, right? So they let it go and he fights hands. The second round, you can see Aguirre slowing a bit, but he still gets his takedowns. He still gets the back take. The third round, Aguirre is running on fumes, and it's still a competitive round, but Yanis wins the third. If this is not a 5-round fight, he loses that fight too. But it's 2 extra rounds, and he ends up TKing him in the fourth. So when he debuts against Bashi, couple things. One, Bashi just right away takes him down, takes his back, and rear naked chokes him. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing you've seen in almost all of his other fights. But here's what's more important. His entire career is at 135. He took the fight with Austin Bashi on short notice up at 145 because he was supposed to fight Abdul Kamara, defend his 135 Fury title. And instead, short notice opportunity, fight in the UFC. You're 32 years old. This is the chance. Do it. And he gets run through. I would assume he'd be moving back down to 135. And yet here he is jobbing again for them, taking another fight up a weight class that got put together UFC, on relatively short notice
UFC
where you got to go to Winnipeg.
Listed at bantamweight.
Oh, you know what? I think you're right. Okay, well, it wasn't listed as bantamweight yesterday, but I do see that they fixed it. Well, the reason why I assumed is, Siraj's last fight against Donny Matos was at 150. The fight with Gustavo Eric was at 150. Him losing to Diego Brandao is at 145. His win against Neymont Abrachishadov is at 145. I got to see, when was the last... His fight with David Briones, he fought him at 155 pounds. When was the last time Jamie Siraj even made bantamweight? Give me a second here. Oh, my boy Gabe Sagman, surely. He fought my guy Gabe Sagman, and that was in 2019. So you mean to tell me 7 years ago he made 135, and now he's going to do it again on relatively short notice?
I'm looking on the UFC. The official UFC website has this at 135 as well.
Well, I'm going to believe it because Topology had it last night at 145, and they have physically changed it, which means that they updated it to the relevant info.
Well,
weigh-ins are in a few days.
Siraj's Instagram to see, like, is this guy looking like...
Yeah. The crazy thing about this is it plays into both of our theories. It plays into the... Well, now
Chin is worse.
Chin is worse, but maybe the takedowns and the grappling could be a little bit easier, right? Because you're that much bigger. What's best on what's best line you can find on this thing? I got Siraj. I just don't overpay for it because Paul's not wrong at all.
I took a small play
That
on on Yanis at like
yeah.
plus 224. It's basically plus 220, whereas Siraj is minus 250 ish.
Yeah, I watched a whole lot of John Yanis tape this week,
I
and
did
I
too.
just
I didn't
couldn't.
love it. I just can't. I
Johnny
can't.
Matos.
I
I
can't
don't.
click Siraj's name with that chin. The durability issues, just like it's not even the brand down foot. That could happen to anybody. That was a perfectly placed kick. It's like getting dropped by these other goobers the last couple of fights. Fights that
You're not wrong.
that were literally setups for him to just roll right through. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, Cody, for your PRP style, if Siraj loses, you just rebuild.
Well, he'll be, yeah, he's not going to be so high
I
that
know.
rebuilds are necessary, but you're right. Let's get this thing over and done with right off the hop, and then we'll see where we stand after that, Paul.
Fair play. All right. We are just about out of time, Cody. But before we go, hit with the PRP.
Quite a few underdogs this week, but I got Burns, but let me see weigh-ins. Let me see if the number continues to get better because it's crashing. The number continues to get better. There's a price point where I'm in on Malott, but at the current odds, I am in on Gilbert Burns. Dog number 1, we're going Charles Jourdain, live bet after the first round. That's your best bet. Watch to see how it's playing out, and then you'll get a better number. Definitely Mandel, Nallo, Jasmine, Jasudavicius, Cage Young, Dennis Buzukia. That's going to be dog number 2 officially. We're going to go with Robert Valentin, Gokhan, Saricam, Melissa Croden, Jamey-Lyn, Horth, Mitch Raposo, dog number 3, John Castellaneta, and Jamie Siraj. That number on Jamie Siraj is really not good though. So I got myself a couple one of these. I took Raposo. That's a big enough underdog. And then a real big underdog is Dennis Buzukia. So I just don't need to extend myself on Yanis. But
Fair.
Paul's not wrong. He's not necessarily chasing those other guys. Yanis provides the same type of value and a similar win condition that the line's just off.
Could knock him out. Could rock him. Like, because you know the world.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, even if he has his back taken, it's just like if he gets out of that position, or at least like in the first part of that round, like rocks him to end up having his back taken, controlled, but like doesn't get subbed, damage over everything. Like there's multiple ways that this could kind of go his way. But yeah. I mean, I'm not making, it's not like I'm like, he's a lock of the week. It's just like, Yanis, he has issues. And I've seen Siraj win those scrambling exchanges, get to the back, get rear naked chokes. So it's like, it's really good matchmaking from a win condition type of standpoint.
You know what? You're right. It's like, okay, we got one guy who he might not be able to take a punch. Let's put him in with a puncher. What's the puncher's issue? He can't stuff takedowns, or he gives up his back every fight. What's Siraj's best thing? He gets takedowns and takes his back every fight. So yeah, you know what? It's excellent matchmaking, but it's up to these guys to figure it out and put their best game plan forward and secure the victory. So yeah, I mean, it's people will crap on this card. Maybe I'm a little biased because I'm Canadian and I know a lot of these guys, but when you look at fights on an entertainment perspective, a lot of these fights are very entertaining. Yeah. It's that because they lack the name quality or the name brand. Or there's a pay-per-view last week, so what? They gave you names last week, and it was a great card. This week you're not going to get that same level of exposure, but they'll be great fights.
Yeah, you got the White House card coming up.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, you're going to naturally, like if there's like the next week there's Fight Night Vegas. I'll be coming to you from New Orleans when we record the show on Wednesday. But yeah, I mean, that card's not great. Like you're going to be lacking some star power over the next little bit as they lead up to that White House card. I mean, you got Strickland versus Chimaev in May, but yeah, otherwise there's really a lot of things go thin when they're putting all of their big stars on Donnie's front lawn. So
UFC 300 did the same thing. It's like if you want Cody Garbrandt, a former bantamweight champ, versus Figueiredo, a former flyweight champ, it's like the second fight on the card. If you want Jalen Turner versus Moicano as a prelim fight, then the 3 cards before that card and the 3 cards after that card are going to be pretty bad because you're using up the names. But I don't complain because we'll also be watching a PFL on Thursday and an LFA on Friday. You're going to New Orleans. I'm going to the Seneca Casino on Friday to watch BKB. Little Trigon, baby. I just love fights,
BKB
man.
And
it's the Seneca.
Upstate New York?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And Fight Network plays it, so I got free tickets.
Nice.
That certainly helped shove me in the direction, but who cares? I gotta buy my own tickets. It's just, free tickets, good tickets. I've you and I, we went to PFL together. We've been to Bellator, been to UFC, been to
Slam One.
I've been to a lot of random shows. I still want to go to a Cage Warriors, an Octagon, a KSW. I've not done my European trek. But yeah, in terms of like bare knuckle boxing, I've seen bare knuckle boxing in Canada. I've not supported a BKFC or a BKB quite yet. So it's going to be Lawrence LT Nelson's the main event, buddy. Sold me on that just alone. I'm in. I'll be there. The point being is that when someone tells me Boser versus Gokhan Saricam, it's like that meme of the monkey who's kind of looking off to the side. It's like, I actually really like that fight, dog. I don't know what to tell you. Maybe I'm sick. Maybe I'm out of my mind. But yeah, you do it because you love it. You watch this fight. You've seen a lot of people skipping their shows this week, or
are they skipping shows this week? Wow. Are you taking names? Are you taking names?
I'm not putting anybody on blast. I'm just saying.
So now
this is what I'm here for, baby. I love it.
Who's taking a break this week?
Don't you worry about that, Paul Shaughnessy. If you go on your socials, you'll be saying the kids are complaining about the card.
No love for I mean, yeah. Gilbert Burns in another main event, off of all of these laws. I get it. But like we watch, as you were alluding to, we watch way worse MMA on a weekly basis. So how could I not tune 100%. In to UFC Winnipeg?
This is what people don't understand. Someone told me, they were like, well, I'll tell you the problem with this card, Cody. I said, yeah, hit me. I'm all ears. They said the main event. This is the main event. Gilbert Burns is on a 4-fight losing streak. He's in the main event. And he's fighting a guy that's not even ranked in the top 25. And the co-main event, Kyler Phillips is on a 2-fight losing streak. And he's fighting a guy that's fringe 15. And that's your co-main event. This is fair. Well, on Thursday night, I'll be watching a card headlined by Dariya Kelly versus J.J. Wilson. Buddy, let me tell you, I don't care. The co-main event's Riz McKee. Went 1-5 in the UFC. And I'm pumped to see him fight Alex Lahore. He just got whipped 2 weeks ago in a karate combat match. How are you fighting again? The point is that I'll be glad to tell you about every single guy on that card too. Tyson Pedro versus Dovlit Yakshimaduradov. You think I'm going to miss that, Paul?
Absolutely
no chance.
That's Dovlit's that big of a favorite, to be perfectly honest.
Well, Tyson Pedro's been messing around with some fake boxing stuff, and now he's back. And Yakshimaduradov is actually good.
He is good. He's got a lot of power, and he's dangerous. Don't get me wrong. But when I saw
Chris
like
Nixon's on the card,
-350
Casio, Pedro Carvalho, I'm in. Actually, what I'm going to do now
is Pedro versus Amran Shaban. Sign me up, buddy.
Giannis Bakar from The Ultimate Fighter, who was going to stab somebody. He's on the card. We got
Chiquino's an absolute unit, man. I haven't looked at. I haven't watched tape on that card. I haven't looked into it too closely. I'm sure Cody's probably dropping his picks on the Bookie Beatdown Discord.
I'm going to do that
link
now.
Is in the description if you want anything like that. But yeah, we watch Callan Loughran, Dean Garnett versus Kieran Clark. That's an interesting grappling matchup between the two of them. We are watching worse stuff all of the time. So yeah, UFC Winnipeg, fine by me. Anyway, it's not that we're biased. We just like watching trash.
Well, it's not.
I like garbage.
Man. It's like when I was a kid. I was a big hockey fan till I was about 10 years old. Loved pro wrestling. Then it turned out it was fake. Loved hockey. Turns out pretty well fake. Well, they took out the fighting, and then it just got a little weird for me. Not that I don't enjoy it, just not to the levels of when I was a kid. The point of the story being, when I was a kid, I'd watch the Toronto Maple Leafs. That's my team. Still is. That's my team. And then you would talk to other Toronto Maple Leaf fans that would watch the game too. Then you'd go over on a random Thursday, and they were watching the Atlanta Thrashers versus the Calgary Flames. Like, why are you watching this? It's like, it's the hockey game. It's like, well, the Leafs aren't even playing. Who cares about this game? But see, they like hockey. They are hockey fans. They can name you every single player on the Toronto Maple Leafs. They can name you every single player on the other teams too. Well, that's our level of, fight. That's how much we love fighting. We don't just watch the UFC. We can tell you about every guy on the UFC roster. We watch a bunch of other organizations. We can tell you about all the guys on those rosters too. It's like, do I want to watch the baseball game on Monday and the basketball game on Tuesday and this on Wednesday? And I wish fights were throughout the week, because that's what I would prefer to be watching all the time. And so we're lucky that they play fights on Thursday in the case of this PFL, and then there's fights on Friday. Then there's the UFC, but generally the UFC's been ending early, so you can tune into a Ryzen after or a BKFC after. On Sunday, you're getting Fury FCs. Anthony Pettis fighting promotion sometimes runs on Sundays, but they're not really dropping odds for it, so I'm less inclined to watch that. But if there was nothing else on and there was no lines, I would still be watching it. That's the basis of where I'm going with it. So yeah, I mean, that's it from us this week. But War MMA, best sport in the world.
I will say the one thing that kind of grinds my gears, you see it like pretty much every single time. I don't understand why, because they're both from the same region of the world. Octagon and KSW pretty much always run events at the exact same time.
Yeah, counter-programming.
Like every single time KSW has an event, Octagon has an event. It's just like, you guys are kind like, one's based out of the Czech Republic, the other one's based out of Poland. They're basically taking fighters from around the same pool of level of talent. Maybe KSW has they're a little bit longer established, so maybe they've got, they had the Saladin Pernasses. They may have the Kaladov. They may have like a little bit of a higher budget just because they've been around longer. But it's like they're literally, I feel like they're feeding off of each other. That's my nerdy thing of the week. KSW, Octagon, like, take other weekends. I'd like to watch. I'd like to watch both of you, but every single time those guys are on, there's usually a Cage Warriors card as well. And then my screen's got Cage Warriors, Octagon, There's just too much. There's too much. And sometimes there's even like a BKFC from like Birmingham, England on at the same time. It's just like my brain can only take so much combat at the same time before you're just like, yeah, it all kind of goes numb,
Yeah,
probably makes sense to you. Other people are just like, wrap up the show.
I mean, they probably turned off the show at this point. So it's just us when we normally end the show, we sit here and talk for 20 minutes. Anyways, this is just us talking for the 20 minutes. Anyways, but yeah, what I will say is that Poland's got like their own ecosystem. Same thing with Czech Republic, really. When I look at KSW, you mentioned Saladin, okay? Saladin's getting paid $600,000 US per fight.
Yeah.
And I thought they were lying about that. Oh, it's just propaganda, like one championship. But then I looked into it, and it's like Mamet Kaladov, I got paid $1 million for one of his fights. Of course, Mariusz Putinowski had been paid $1 million for one of his fights. Michael Materla is pulling in like $200,000 for some of these fights. Maybe not anymore, but he was. So how is it that no other promotion in the world outside the UFC? Well, people will say PFL, but they're in financial disparity. Like, there's really no other promotion. You think one championship's paying you $600,000 for a fight? No, there's nobody that's got money like KSW. Then they have these shows and they're in stadiums and they're full. Octagon MMA, they're in these giant, and I mean giant venues, and they're full. So what's Spain's big league? WoW? How many people go to that? What do you think you get paid to fight for WoW? What's Sweden's big league? FCR? What do you think you get paid to fight in FCR? What about England? What do you think the top guy in Cage Warriors gets paid? I'll tell you what he gets paid, 10 grand. What about Aries in France? Yeah, you watch those on Fight Pass. It is absolute crickets. There is not anybody in the building. The rest of Europe doesn't care. Poland, Czech Republic, fight fans, baby. My types of people. Shout out Pogi Rob, Polish. They're passionate. They support it. There's money there. Thing is if you're an American guy, they're not bringing you in unless you're Polish. And if you are getting brought in, you're going to get beat up. If you're a heavyweight like Philip DeFries, you can make some money. But this is just because heavyweight's a bad division. Outside of that, it's like they cater to the Czech fighters. They cater to the Polish fighters. But on a business standpoint, these are the 2 and 3 best promotions in the world. So whatever they're doing in Czech Republic and KSW, I don't understand why you guys go head to head. I'd like to see you
going head to head this week though. For like
co-promote
the first time in a long time. Yeah, KSW, unless you're buying the feed, kind of tough to find streams. They really
I won't even
cracked
get
down
into
on
that story, but somebody provided us with a stream one time. It was crazy. The lengths that you got to go through. I'll leave you with this. My last story. Let's just get out of here. But KSW had to deal with Fight Network, and they accused us of leaking the feed, which we did not. The point being is that they're like Dana says, I combat piracy. KSW very much combats piracy. So it is hard to, if you're not paying for it. And even if you pay for it, a lot of the time you'll get I watch it mostly in Polish, and I don't even understand Polish. For the record, I watch Octagon MMA in German because the stream's way more stable than the English feed. And I don't care. I barely listen to commentary. I like watching the fight. You know, someone was like, are you an expert in picking fights? It's like, no, like I'm not an expert in anything. I'm just a regular human being like everybody else. But if someone was like, well, what are you expert in? It'd be like human movement. You know, I've watched enough of this that two people start to move and you can figure out the story pretty quickly. And so, let's hit a 13 like PRP on the Winnipeg and then go play some other fun MMA events after that. That's my plan. As always, my man, Paul Shaughnessy.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the stuff I'm doing now, I wouldn't call myself a master of human movement, but a lot of the stuff, a lot of my main betting right now, at least, is been in the live markets. And why does that have to do? It's like we've been doing this for like 15 years now. So it's like sometimes it's hard. It's just like, you know, John Yanis versus Siraj. It's like you watch the tape, you know that Siraj is gonna have a grappling ability, but like you may know once you actually see them engage early, you're going to have an even better idea. You know, your preconceived notions. I mean, if Yanis, absolutely pushes them off on a bunch of takedowns earlier, like, oh crap, maybe this guy's worked on it. A lot of things clear up over the course of the first couple of minutes of a fight where, certain things that you thought were truths end out to be false, and certain things that you didn't think would happen do happen. Anyway, live betting is where I've been really focusing my energy the last few months, and I think it really comes down to experience. I can watch it. It's hard to explain to other people, but it's like I can watch guys that I've done research on and be like, oh crap, like, this is kind of open to it. Anyway, I've been talking too much. I've been rambling too much.
You're right, though, man. In the Discord, people be like, "Oh, our guy lost that first round. Hopefully we come back in the second." But he ain't coming back, dog. I don't know how to break it to you. He's done. He is done. I know enough about it now because.
Or people react to like your guy is down a round, but you're just like, nah, this is how this is how you kind of. He's always gonna lose round one. It's whether he gets through round one and gets to the other side. Like, fights are crazy. Like at every Terrence McKinney fight, whenever Cody's betting those over 1.5, it just might be telling him not to do it. Every single Terrence McKinney fight, just like, oh, he killed him. He looked minus 1,000. It's like, yeah, Terrence McKinney looks minus 1,000 every single time he wins. But if he doesn't get you out of there in the first 3 minutes, then what does he look like?
Plus 1,000.
Exactly. So fighting's a crazy game. There's I love it, but sometimes I hate it too. But anyway, that's it for us. But yeah, love UFC Winnipeg. It's in Canada. We support Canadian MMA. And whether it's got the name cachet, everything like that, who cares? There's a ton of fights pretty much every single Saturday and opportunities for us to bet. So that's it for us this week. Hope you enjoyed the show. For Cody, I'm Paul. Say goodbye and good luck.